All right, welcome you NetHack ninjas. It is time for Mark W's old games on a weekday. Yeah, usual apologies about my schedule being pretty erratic lately. I'm not going to get into the excuses, but basically things have been hectic. But I kind of thought I would play a little NetHack tonight because that's kind of a good way for me to blow off steam. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the classic roguelikes. You must have heard of the genre of roguelikes if you've paid attention to video games, old or new. It's just it has become a huge thing, but this is one of the originals. Um, and it's a mind-blowingly deep and complex game. In some ways, not necessarily in a good way, but to all players, it can be a little bit intense sometimes. You have to look things up in a wiki or you're screwed. Or anyway, it's still one of my favorite games of all time. And even though I first played it in the early 90s, I only managed to beat it once on a stream on this very channel in the year, I think, 2020, when I started doing this whole streaming kind of shenanigans. Yeah, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of I want to say skill. I guess skill. Yeah, there's skill to it. You have to have a lot of knowledge in your head about all the various ways in which monsters and objects and everything interact, or just look up things in wikis all the time, like I was saying. Anyway, roguelike. You're an at symbol. There's randomly generated dungeons. You have fixed in just a minute. Okay, I am still talking. Talk. Um, I don't see any signs of errors on my end. Usually my streaming software OBS will say that their frames dropped or whatnot. I think we're all good. But let me know, Eric, if everything looks good. And by the way, welcome, Eric. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being one of my super regulars. I'm trying to make these streams more frequent on Tuesday. I just haven't been able to make it happen. Mostly because I'm trying to accommodate one of our other super regulars, Mr. Arturo, who can't make it on Wednesdays anymore. But anyway, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to make this work more. Anyway, yeah, NetHack. I have all these big plans in my mind about things I want to do. Like I wanted to do a live coding session of Atari Basic, and I still want to do that. I still want to continue my massive Ultima 4 quest, but lately it's been like I just need to do something simple and straightforward and have fun. And let's do it. That's NetHack. But here's the thing: I could jump into NetHack and just play it like I usually do, and it's gonna be all weird character graphics zooming along the screen and everything. Um, and maybe you'll follow it, and maybe you won't. But I thought I would take a slow and casual approach for starters, and maybe even read through the manual. Imagine that, or at least through the basic intro. Actually, the manual is not in game, I don't think. How do I even find the manual? I'm just realizing that now. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. I'll figure something out. But anyway, this is version 3.6.7. They're actually up to 3.7, but I don't know if it's officially whatever term they use, generally available. It might be in beta. And 3.7 makes a lot of changes that I actually like. There are some really nasty monsters in this game, and they're nasty in an extremely annoying way, especially the Mind Flayer, and they are nerfed in 3.7. So you could argue the game's easier, but it also makes it, I think they removed some exploits or they made them a little harder to do. Anyway, I don't want to get into all the advanced stuff. So first thing you do is you choose your character's race, role, gender, and alignment. And now NetHack is based very strongly on Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the first edition of that. It's not strictly speaking one-to-one with it, but a lot of inspiration from it. So you'll see a lot of old school D&D kind of stuff, basically, and to some extent, some of this is generic. Anyway, why don't we get into it? You can let the game pick this stuff for you, or you can pick it. I'm going to say no. So first, we pick. By the way, I'm using my default name, but you could. This game is so configurable. You can like take a config file, and you can put your name in it. You could choose all kinds of configs like remap keys and whatnot. You can say my pets. You always start in this game with typically with a cat or a dog. You can say my pet's name is always so and so, or you can say my favorite fruit is such and such. It is avocado, and then every time you find the designated fruit in the game, it would say avocado. So there's a lot of customization you can do, but I haven't bothered to tweak that stuff. And so yeah, I'm just this is using my OS username essentially. It's pulling mrin from there. Anyway, you can choose your role of profession. And yeah, I can get a little bit into it. Let me get my demo draw tool going where I can draw on the screen. So yeah, some of these are your basic I hit things and they die character classes, or they use the word role in NetHack, not character class. But the basic I hit things and they die kind of guys are caveman / cavewoman, barbarian, knight. Knight's a little bit more complex. Monk, ranger-ish. Well, they're more like ranged weapons experts. Samurai, definitely I hit things and they die, and so is Valkyrie. So it's kind of ish. Don't take this too literally here, but basically these are the fighter types. They just smack things and they die. When I won the game the one time, I was a samurai, and it's generally considered the easiest to beat the game with the ones I pretty much highlighted. Maybe not knight or caveman so much. Maybe there's some nuance here, but basically these are the ones that hit people. The more advanced characters are archaeologists. They have an affinity for gems and digging. They start with a pickaxe. They can dig through the walls and stuff like that. Healer is extremely challenging. I've never done well with a healer, really. They have healing magic. They have a lot of healing potions. They have a scalpel, because I guess they're supposed to be like a doctor, sort of. They have... That's pretty much all they have. They have apples, healing potions, healing ability, and a scalpel as their weapon. They're pretty weak. But if you like to heal, there's your character. Now, we don't have parties in this game. This is not, the Bard's Tale or whatever. It's not a game where you have a group of characters, where it's not World of Warcraft where you can team up with people in a multiplayer capacity. It's single person, single player, single character. So that's the thing. A healer in most games would be a support kind of character, right? You have your tanks or whatnot, and your healer is in the back healing them mostly. So a healer's on its own. What else is worth talking about? Let's go through all of them, actually. We talked about archaeologists a little bit. Yeah, they're not one of the stronger classes. Now, by the way, any advanced player in this game might really disagree with me. There are some advanced players who say the tourists are wonderful. But if you're a newbie to the game, you're going to die as a tourist. Let's keep going through. Barbarian, they're about what you would think. They start with like a two-handed sword, I think, typically, and some decent armor. But they're not fancy in any way. They don't really... they don't do anything fancy, basically. They hit things. Cavewoman, caveman. Also, they're not very fancy, but they also have a by the way, I'm a little rusty. I haven't played this game in a while, but they don't have a two-handed sword. They have more like a club, I think, to start with. And they have a bunch of flintstones. Get it? They're a caveman with flintstones. I think they start with a sling that they can use as a missile weapon with the stones. So they're a fighter type. They're very primitive and basic. But all these guys, by the way, they have different kind of abilities. Like when you get to level 3, you gain poison resistance. You get to level 5, you get sleep resistance, whatever. And I don't remember all those offhand, except I remember Barbarian is very good in that area. They get a lot of resistances and special things early. Knight, they start with a pony. And strangely enough, in the NetHack universe, the pony can grow up to become a horse and then a war horse. All the pets in this game, they grow up. Most characters start with a cat or a dog, but the knight is a special exception. They start with a pony, and they grow up in multiple stages. And you can ride the horse. I don't think you can ride them when they're a pony. I forget. It's kind of a little complicated. You have to look into how it works in the wiki. And you need to find a saddle, before you can even ride the horse. And you can fail. You can try to mount the horse, and you might fail and hurt yourself. And if you try too many times, you might actually die. So if I want to play something with a complicated mechanic like that, I have to look it up. I'm probably going to be looking up stuff in the wiki a lot. Monks are kind of like the old AD&D monks, which they are barehanded fighters, and they generally don't wear much in the way of armor. Excuse me. And as they level up, they become, hardcore Bruce Lee types. They attack their enemies with a flurry of kicks and punches, and it's just like a whole lot of really speedy attacks. They also They have an ability. It's like they can sense danger. So there could be like a corner, and around the corner, it's called the warning ability. It'll show like the number 1 around the corner, meaning I don't know exactly what kind of enemy it is, but it's a low danger basically, or low level enemy, or it might be number 2, which means 1 level higher basically. They also have to be vegan. This game, NetHack, is so interesting. There's a bunch of what you can achieve called conducts, like depending on the behavior of how you play. For example, if you never pray to your deity of choice, you have the atheist conduct. But the vegan conduct is, yeah, you never eat meat. And in this game, you often have to eat meat, or it's hard to avoid it, because a lot of your food source is actually just monsters that you have slain, and you can immediately eat them. You don't have to worry about cooking them or anything. It's like you've slain an orc, and now you can chow down on the corpse if you want. And eating is a very important thing. If you don't keep up your food supply, you will starve. Anyway, the monks, they eat, they're vegan, and if you break the vegan conduct, I don't remember exactly what happens, but you have alignment in this game, which tends to involve like well, it's complicated. There's alignment in the sense of chaotic, lawful, and neutral, but there's also like how good your behavior is, and that is used for again, I'm a little rusty, but I think that involves your luck. Luck is kind of like an internal stat that you don't really see how it operates, but it can shift things for or against your favor. Also, there's the whole thing about deities. When you pray to them, they can grant you good stuff, or they could punish you or do nothing. And a lot of times you need the deity as a Hail Mary. You're about to die, and you pray. And then the deity will heal you and also put a shield on you for a little while, so monsters can't harm you, or they back away from you. And I think if you break your vegan conduct, it might affect your deity's opinion of you as well. Anyway, speaking of deities, the priest and the priestess, they're basically like an old school D&D cleric type. They have protective magic and healing and stuff, but not quite the same as the healer, who is strictly healing, at least at the beginning. The priest has, shoot, I'm so rusty, but I think that has stuff like, turning undead, and probably like light magic and whatever. Rogue, yep. Rogues are, I don't like the rogues. They're kind of boring, but they basically are good at throwing a bunch of daggers as their missile weapon. That's practically all they do. And they do a little more than that. I think they start with a lockpick. There's not really a whole lot of thievery kind of things you can do in this game, but you can disarm traps, and you can try to unlock doors and chests with lockpicks. And, again, I'd probably have to look it up in the wiki if I wanted to get all the details down. But yeah, rangers, they're good at with ranged weapons, especially bow and arrow. And as they skill, as they level up their skill in bow or whatnot, they can get a lot of shots off in one turn. The funny thing is, I think of, in my mind, Ranger as a relatively new character class, but that's because when I first played this game in the early 90s, it didn't exist. The Ranger didn't exist, and they added it probably in like 2000 or something. So in my mind, something that's probably roughly 2 decades plus old is the new character class. That's how it is when you get old. You think, oh yeah, that thing was new. It's, well, it's really 20 years ago, but sure, we'll call it new. Anyway, the tourist. This is the one that makes everyone go, what, a tourist? And as Eric said a moment ago, a tourist, LOL. Yeah, the tourist is they're modeled off of a tourist. It's like if a random guy on vacation wandered into this dungeon. And by the way, this place is called the Dungeon of Doom in NetHack. The tourist starts off with a Hawaiian shirt, for one thing. That kind of doesn't really do much. It's a little bit of nuance to it, to what it can do. You can enchant it, right? But there's limits to how much you can enchant armor. So that's like the one purpose of a Hawaiian shirt. If you have all your other armor maxed out in enchantments, you can also enchant the Hawaiian shirt. But really, it's probably mostly for flavor. Also, the tourists come with a lot of food, which is kind of nice, because most of the other character classes, they have to worry about food from the get-go to some degree. Some of them start out with a food ration or two. The tourists are loaded with food. They have all these tins, which are, cans of food. I think they have food rations too, maybe fruits. They have an expensive camera whose flash can blind monsters, and their weapon is a pile of darts. They have a stack of darts that they can throw at enemies. You can also stab people with them too. I guess they have to give them some kind of weapon, so they imagined a tourist playing darts. Yeah, so they're pretty weak, but they have a lot of food again, and they have how to put it? They're kind of versatile. As you advance, if you can actually survive early with them, you can expand their skills in a lot of different ways. Like most of these character classes, they have a limited set of skills they can advance. For example, what's a good example? I don't know. The samurai, they can advance their. I might not have this perfect. They can advance their skill in a couple of different swords and maybe daggers and bow, but they can't do. I don't know. I'm really forgetting all the skills here. For the sake of the example, let's just say they can't use quarterstaves very well. They can't advance it very well. I think the tourists can like pretty much advance in everything pretty well, but not like become super skilled in any particular weapon. Maybe they're like a jack of all trades, perhaps. I don't know. I'm probably making some mistakes in my explanation. Anyway, Valkyrie is definitely an easy one if you want to smash enemies with your weapons. They start out with a +3 small shield, which is pretty good because you can get body armor and stuff on top of that, and you can hold on to that small shield for pretty much the whole game. They're solid fighters. They have a long sword. They can get Mjolnir, which I probably shouldn't have to explain to anybody at this point. Mjolnir has entered pop culture so much with Thor and the Marvel movies. Here's the thing. I think anybody can get Mjolnir actually, but so every character class has their own set of either I'm missing some details. Either their own individual gods or maybe their own individual rewards they can get from gods, or maybe both. But Valkyrie can basically make a bunch of sacrifices, which are in the form of monster corpses that you have slain, essentially. And the Valkyrie's god might grant them Mjolnir sometimes. And if they have enough strength, which typically you get by finding the magic item called gauntlets of power, I think, or gauntlets of might, gauntlets of power, I think. If you get an insane amount of strength by wearing those, and you can throw Mjolnir, and it'll return to the Valkyrie, and she can catch it in her hand. I forget exactly the limitations with every class. It might be some of them don't get the return action. Anyway, the Valkyrie is a strong character class, especially for newbies. And Wizard is about what you might expect. They get a lot of magic. They're really strong in magic. They start with a I forget if in this particular game, because I played a bunch of different forks of NetHack, like mods basically. I think they only start with either a quarterstaff or an athame, which is a sacrificial dagger, and they start with a bunch of scrolls, magic scrolls, and as you would expect, they can learn magic and cast a lot of magic of all different kinds, basically. They're actually quite a powerful class if you can get beyond I just need to smack things all the time. All right, so now we've gotten through some of those. Would anyone in the chat, Eric or otherwise, like to suggest a character class that I should choose? Otherwise, I'll wing it myself. And then since I am so rusty, I'm kind of leaning towards not picking something extraordinary, difficult, or complex. Maybe just a smashy type. Maybe I'll go. Kind of feeling drawn toward towards maybe a monk, perhaps. Play samurai again. So yeah, I'll be a samurai again. Let's do that. All right, now I can choose male, female, or random. It barely matters. It kind of just there's certain kind of adult situations in this game. They're not super explicit, but it'll reverse the gender of like for example, a succubus who's trying to get you to take off your clothes. And that's just a couple little details like that. Also, it'll use the pronouns matching your gender or sex. Anyway, I don't want to get into, as soon as you say pronouns these days, people start getting into tirades, but what I mean is simply the string her or his in the text. Anyway, I'll be male because I'm used to being male usually. And because I chose samurai, samurai are limited to the lawful alignment, so I am lawful. I don't get to choose chaotic or neutral. And now I will press Y to start the game. And here is our little blurb. It is written in the book of Amaterasu Omikami. Excuse me. I have a lot of gas tonight. Luckily, you can't smell it. After the creation, the cruel god Moloch rebelled against the authority of Marduk, the creator. Moloch stole from Marduk the most powerful of all the artifacts of the gods, the amulet of Yendor, and he hid it in the dark cavities of Gehenna, the underworld, where he now lurks and bides his time. Your goddess Amaterasu Omikami seeks to possess the amulet, and with it to gain deserved descendants over the other gods. So I'm trying to basically get this amulet to make my god the most powerful one. Hello, Mr. Andy in the house. Woo! Playing some NetHack tonight, as you probably are aware. And, this is a game that's been on my streams a lot, and I usually just kind of... And what I used to do is on my Saturday night streams, I would play one game with Rob Bob. It could have been anything, usually a PC game from our Steam library. Then he would go to bed, and the second half would be NetHack. Anyway, I'm playing it on a weekday tonight, and I'm taking my time going through the intro and explaining the basics of how things work. All right, so anyway, you, a newly trained Hatamoto, which I guess means a novice samurai or something, have been heralded from birth as the instrument of Amaterasu Omikami. You are destined to recover the amulet for your deity or die in the attempt. Your hour of destiny has come for the sake of us all, because he's a samurai. Go bravely with Amaterasu Omikami. I'm going to look at that word Hatamoto for the fun of it. It's a real historical term which translates from Japanese to English as guardian of the flag, working as a bannerman or upper vassal to a samurai lord. Okay, that's enough. Basically, I'm a noob. And Andy says, and what is that? Oh, sake, yeah. There's a sake emoji here? Huh. Konnichiwa, Emrin. Welcome to NetHack. You are a lawful male human samurai. And by the way, I made my fonts very large so it fills the screen nicely. I don't know if it's going to cause any problem, but hopefully not. Okay, so, yeah, this is NetHack. Do a lot of crazy stuff in this game. All right, so to show what's on the screen now, the dots are the floor. These dots here. Empty floor. And these lines are essentially the walls. The plus sign here is a closed door. This here is just empty floor, but you can see it's leading out the room, so it's probably in a corridor. It's probably going to lead to a corridor. This thing here is a fountain. Now, you can drink from fountain. You can dip objects into them. The game has so many complex interactions. So if you wanted to dilute a potion or just turn it into water, and there is a good use for that, you could just dip the potion into the water, into the fountain, that is. Yeah, I'm so rusty. I'm trying to remember. In the way I used to play when I was younger, I just kind of recklessly drink from all the fountains. And I might just do that tonight because I'm just having fun. But there is a thing that's good to save them for later in the game, and I can't... Oh yeah, I think it is just dipping your potions into. Because holy water winds up being a very valuable thing in this game. And the way you get holy water, and again, it's a crazy interaction, is you take a potion of water, which you can find as potion of water, or you can, again, dilute them in the fountains. For example, if you know what a crappy potion is, like a potion of paralysis, you don't want to drink that. You could throw it at enemies, but maybe you want to just turn it into a potion of water, and then you walk over to a is it an altar? Gee, yeah, I'm so rusty. I think you put it on you get it blessed one way or another. Let's put it that way. When water becomes blessed, it's holy water. And now you can dip, for example, a weapon into the holy water. If you dip your +0 longsword into the holy water, it becomes a +1 longsword. I think. It's amazing how I like doubting all these claims I'm stating now. It's like, wait, do I actually have this straight? I don't know. I have it more or less correct. I can always look things up in the wiki as needed. All right, so this D here is actually my pet dog, and you can hit capital C to name it, or I can hit slash to look at stuff on the map. Now, this is as you can see, this is something I haven't talked about. This is a terminal-based game, kind of by default. But the way the game was written is you can actually slap a graphical user interface on top of it. So there are people who have developed fancy UIs, but I kind of like the raw, basic terminal game generally. Anyway, what I can do is hit slash again, and it says, please move the cursor to an unknown object. And now I can use my fancy pants. I'm using this, by the way. You kind of use a number pad for these old school roguelikes. But now I can move the cursor around. Well, I'm doing it wrong, but if I was doing it right, I can move the cursor around. Now, what that was about is this game has it was written in like the 80s, and it's kind of almost platform agnostic as possible. So sometimes you have to configure things to get them to be just right. Like it's kind of using a different keyboard emulation or something by default for my keypad or my number pad. So I have to find the configuration option here. And if it sounds like a pain, maybe it is, but that's kind of how NetHack is. It's like the operating system Linux, but in game form. It's like the most Linux-like game I can think of. I'm trying to get this stupid bar to stop going over there. Let me move it to my left so it doesn't do this anymore. It's called the dock in Mac OS. Got to go to my dock settings, put it on the left. Now it'll stop being a pain. How do you move it to the left? I've done that before. There we go. Position on the screen left. Great. Now I can stop accidentally making it pop up. Okay. So anyway, number pad I have to enable, and you can see even when I hit that, look at all these options I get. Like it's MS-DOS compatible. It's basically an 80s game that's been ported to everything, and there's like so many configurations to make it work on different, hardware and operating systems and everything. You can even get this for like Atari 8-bit computers. I think they recently stopped supporting that specific computer. Anyway, I can just hit on, and it should work. While I'm at it, let's name my favorite fruit. I saw that here somewhere. My favorite fruit that by default is a slime mold. What's a good Japanese fruit I can make my favorite fruit be called? How about a yuzu? And I just found that by Googling because I couldn't think of a Japanese fruit, but this one is called a yuzu. It looks almost like a lemon, but a different shape. I suppose it probably tastes very different, but I really don't know. I've never had a yuzu. Anyway. Eric suggested a durian. That's a good choice. And yeah, as you can see, there's a zillion different options here. And they're not all just related to like, different platform compatibility. Some of them are preferences. But it's such a crazy game. It's like with all this options and configurations. You can even like change the character to represent certain objects in the game. Like this one is for a boulder. Here's where you can define your cat and dog names. And Andy says some sushi restaurants use yuzu as an ingredient. Oh, I didn't know that. The more you know. What the hell's a pile limit for? All right, I don't want to dwell on the config too much. Anyway, so now what I did all that for is because I wanted to show you how you can hit the slash key to look around. And now with my caps lock, I moved by accident. Okay. I didn't mean to do that, but what happened was my dog, who happens to be named Hachi, attacked that little O character, which represented a goblin, and he killed it. What I meant to do was show you I can move around the cursor to look at things. Let's see. Fountain, staircase up. That's me, a human samurai called Emran. Here's my dog Hachi. Tame little dog. Tame means it is it's yours, it's your pet. Not every dog you find will be yours, but you can make them yours by giving them food. Close the door. That's pretty much all we can see. We can't see the goblin anymore because it's dead. However, I suspect that Hachi is in the same tile as a goblin corpse, and he's probably going to eat him as the very next move. Oh, it didn't leave a corpse. Sometimes you kill a monster and it just doesn't leave a corpse. Doesn't make sense, but that's how it is. Okay, so I got an orcish dagger. By the way, here's my inventory. This is not a huge inventory. Your inventory can get huge, and probably one of my least favorite things about NetHack is the inventory management. When you have so much stuff, you have to manage putting things into bags and taking them out and rummaging through them. But at the same time, I kind of like that the game doesn't just, I don't know, somehow automate it. It's like I'm playing on bare metal or something. Anyway, you can see, excuse me, I have a katana as a weapon, a blessed wakizashi. Now, one of the benefits of being a samurai is as you level up your skill, you can use 2 weapons at the same time. And you can advance that skill pretty well. I feel like some of the other classes can do it, but they can't advance it as far as the samurai. I have a yumi, which is a bow, and 41 ya, which are arrows. Orcish dagger, that's pretty much garbage. It is nice to have a few daggers on hand just to chuck them at enemies at a distance. So I will keep the orcish dagger. I have some rust-proof splint mail being worn, and I have a blindfold for some reason. This is using really old school armor mechanics, old school D&D. So basically, if you are an average dexterity unarmored person, you have 10 armor class, and as you get better, the armor class goes down. If you put on better armor or you get high dexterity, it'll knock it down, and your armor class can actually go negative. And the reason why it was designed like that was simply because of the way they sorry, I'm having a little trouble here. In old school D&D, the way the math worked was the armor class figured into the D20 roll that somebody had to make when they wanted to hit you. And that's just how it was back then. Lower was better. They had like a chart or something. I'm trying to think. This game was based on AD&D first edition. By the time second edition rolled around, I think it was second edition that introduced Thaco. Maybe it was the first edition. I'm not really an expert at old school paper D&D. One of them had something called Thaco, which is 2-hit armor class 0. So if my guy had Thaco of 15, that means if I'm trying to hit somebody with armor class 0, I have to roll a 15 or higher on the 20-sided die. But you would adjust it according to the armor class. Since this guy here, my guy, has armor class of 4, that very same character with a Thaco of 15 would adjust the number by 4, because that's the difference between 0 and 4. So he would have to roll an 11 or higher to hit me with armor class 4 if he had a Thaco of 15. And I haven't played D&D since AD&D 2nd edition, but as I understand it, in the current 5th edition, they have simplified this whole thing. To me, it wasn't that hard, but you know, I'm kind of mathy and nerdy oriented. But I guess it's more it's easier for people these days to comprehend the weird math. It's basically just simplified the math while still making it work. And it took them decades to get these things simplified right, I guess. But you know, there's always this contingent of old school people, the old guard, who are like, no, don't change it, you're dumbing it down, or you're losing some of the nuance or whatnot. Anyway, why don't we start getting into the game, really? Okay, so again, I can just start drinking from the fountains for the fun of it, or I can hold them up. I'm going to drink just because I'm kind of presenting this game as I'm demonstrating it. So a random effect can happen if you drink. Now, this game does not care about you. It doesn't care if you're level 1 and just started. If there's a thing that kills you, there's a thing that kills you. And one of the effects that can happen from drinking a fountain is a whole bunch of water moccasins come out. You know, the snakes, poisonous snakes. And if you're level 1 and you get the water moccasin outcome of drinking from the fountain, typically you're just dead. So I could die right here. Let's try it. The cool draft refreshes you. Now I don't remember what every single outcome means. Some of them are just flavor text and it's like nothing happens. What you could do is I'm already resorting to the wiki. I'm having a little trouble speaking today. I'm sorry. I need a lot of water and stuff. But yeah, if you really want to understand what's going on in NetHack, you really have to just look up stuff in the wiki, unfortunately. That's just how it is. You're never going to figure out all this complicated math or what every single message means. In this case, the cool draft refreshes you is you gain a small amount of nutrition. Okay. Now what that means is the game is always keeping track of my nutrition level. And if it gets too low, I get hungry and I have to eat food. So basically, imagine it was I'm just kind of making up numbers for illustration's sake. Imagine my nutrition level started out as 50 over 100. Drinking this fountain and getting this outcome probably knocked me up, brought me up to like 52 or something. It's like a small amount. Anyway, let's drink some more. Oh, good, a water nymph. Now, the water nymph is going to be a pain to me unless my dog manages to kill it right away. She's going to steal stuff from me and then teleport away. But Hachi is fighting her. I'm going to try to escape and let Hachi deal with her. Nope, she's seducing me and taking off my mail. And this is this is one of the kind of adult content things, but it doesn't really get any more graphic than this. So now I lost my... Well, let's see what happens. Let me finish reading. Pretends to be friendly. Excuse me, but Hachi is like, no way, I'm not going to let you take stuff from my master. But she just stole my bow and my arrows, the Yumi and the Ya. But Hachi bit her. Here's the thing, when she turns on the charm on me, I actually sit here missing turns. I'm like paralyzed with whatever it is. I'm in love with her or something. But Hachi can't fall for her spell. But the water nymph is pretending to be friendly to Hachi. And she stole my wakizashi and my katana. I got like nothing at this point. Come on, get her, Hachi. Smiled at Hachi engagingly. Stole a blindfold from me. Stole my Orcish dagger. Now she's going to teleport away, but she'll be on the same level. So typically what I do is I just chase the nymph around. And on the level, they don't typically go up or down levels. Although that can happen. I can move again. And she stole my armor. So I have nothing. She stole everything. I was really under her spell quite badly. It's usually not quite that bad. But let's find her, Hachi. We got to kill this horrible person. Horrible nymph. Boulder. So now these pound signs or hashtags, as we tend to call them these days, that's just a corridor typically. It does reuse that symbol. The game uses the symbol for another thing too, for like a sink. But yeah, let's keep going. So this boulder's in the way. You got to be careful you don't get boxed in. That can happen. Try to move the boulder but in vain. However, you can squeeze yourself into a small opening. There's a boulder here, but yeah. I'm turning off my auto pickup because it's trying to automatically pick up the boulder. So I'm going to open this door to the right of me. All right, just some money on the ground. And notice the screen is scrolling, probably because I made the characters too big. 3 gold pieces, that's like nothing. So every time I open the door, there could be an outcome like the door resists. And you don't have to go single character by character. You can run. But I'm just taking it easy to start. If you hear a door open, I would actually suspect that it's the nymph running around. So here's a dead end, and as you might expect, with this particular layout, with the corridor leading to a dead end, there could be a chance of a secret door. So I hit the S key to search, and voila, I hit it twice and found a hidden door. There's my dog, Hachi. He must have decided to go like this way, rather than following me. Might as well get some money, another 3 gold. Need to search again, so I'm searching. Nothing here. Just try going around. I'm back to that room. So sometimes you hit moves, you make moves so quickly in this game that you might miss a message. And that's what just happened to me. I was hitting the move directionals on my little number pad here, and then I saw a message appear, but I didn't see what it was. So I hit the key combo, Control P, and it repeated the message. And yes, you do have to memorize a lot of key presses to be functional in this game, unless you're playing a version with a fancy GUI on top, a graphical user interface. But anyway, this message, I know from experience, means that there's a combat going on. that I'm not involved in. 99% chance that's my dog fighting something, and probably the nymph. Now the nymph can teleport around. What's happening? I can't seem to move or do anything. I appear to be stuck. I have no idea why. And you can play NetHack on a server. You can SSH in or Telnet in. And that would be my first, thought would be, oh, I'm getting some internet lag, and that's why the game's hanging. But I'm not playing on a server today. I'm playing locally. And none of my commands are responding. Oh, there we go. I hit Control Q to get out of. There's some kind of mode that'll freeze it or something. I think it rings a bell. Anyway, I see a pile of objects here. Now, based on my experience, I have like a 98% certainty that my dog just killed something. And here, yeah, it's the nymph. This is all my stuff. Plus a swirly potion. I'm going to take it all. Now, when you get prompted to take it all, you can hit the comma key to select all. Otherwise, you have to kind of toggle. See the plus and minus signs? This is how it starts with all the minus, meaning I'm picking up nothing. But I can press A, B, C, D, E like that to toggle which ones I'm picking up. Or I can just press the comma key to select all. Minus undoes it all. So as you can see, if you haven't played this game, it's kind of dizzying the amount of keys you have to use, especially if you're used to games, modern games that don't typically use like every freaking key on your keyboard plus control and every key. Anyway, getting all that stuff. And now I have my stuff again. I can wield the katana again. And I can wear the splint mail. Now look at the AC at the bottom, by the way. Remember I was talking about armor class. My armor class is 10 once again because of my lack of armor. But I can wear it now. I press Shift W to wear. And what I can do is just press E. It's going to list all the options here. E is my splint mail. It has to be. It's the only armor I have. But if you're not sure, you can press question mark or asterisk to look at more info. That's what happens if I press question mark. It displays what I have. If I press star, it shows this kind of menu view of it. Anyway, I'm going to put on E. And now I have armor class 4 again. So it gives me, you can see it gives me 6 worth of armor class, which is pretty good. Now, having played this game a million times, one thing I know is those nymphs always are holding a potion of object detection. That's just how they operate. Now, NetHack is one of the old school roguelikes where every time you find a kind of magic thingy like a potion or a scroll or a wand, it is randomized. So every game is different. It gives you this description, like describing it. Like in this case, it's a swirly potion, but I don't know. I theoretically don't know what that is. But because again, Mark know that nymphs always carry object detection potions. I know that is an object detection potion. So what I can do to identify it is I can just name it, or I can just drink it and let it automatically do its thing. In other words, there is actually a way you can say, well, I know what this is. I actually don't remember the key press offhand. No, I don't want to quit. And I can say, oh, I know all swirly potions are object detection. But I'm just going to drink it for the fun of it. Now you press Q to quaff. Yes, really. Because I guess D was reserved for something else. I can't think of what offhand. And here's my swirly potion. You detect the presence of objects. Now it's showing me every object. There's a lot of piles of gold, apparently. Regardless of whether it's in my, sight or not, I can see all these things now. And they remain on the screen. So I can see there's a scroll right here. And this is an armor symbol, I believe. Right, here we go. Now I can use the look command if I want. Like this. That is a scroll. That is an orcish ring mail. Orcish ring mail is going to be inferior to my splint mail, so I'm not going to bother with that. You have to worry about weight and encumbrance in this game, by the way. If you carry every random object you find, you're going to get slow. And it's kind of one of the worst things you can do is to walk around burdened by equipment in this game. because you lose turns. Like it could be like every, it depends on what level of burdened you are, but it could be like, all the enemies are getting 2 moves for my 1 just because I'm carrying a bunch of crap. And that's really a killer. Anyway, a scroll labeled Yum Yum. Let's pick it up. Now we can read it, just read a random scroll. Because it's early in the game, it's nice to just read things to see what happens and identify things potentially. If we're later in the game, maybe I had a really awesome armor, like it was +5 Gray Dragon Scale Mail. And if I have an unknown scroll, now I know there is a kind of scroll that is destroy armor. So in that scenario, if I had really good armor and it was later in the game, I wouldn't want to read an unknown scroll. I'd probably save it. Early in the game, though, I like to get a little reckless. So let's just read it. A lit field surrounds you. Okay, it's a scroll of light. It's not usually super useful. And again, I'm going to leave the orcish ringmail on the ground. Okay, so you might be wondering, how do we get all these piles of gold? A lot of them are embedded in the walls, and you can only get them with a pickaxe or a wand of digging, and I have neither. So really, the majority of these dollar signs are going to go uncollected by me by the time I finish the level. That asterisk to my left is a gem of some sort. It might just be a rock, though, because it uses the same symbol for both of them. Now, here's a locked door. Now, I have a conundrum. I can try to unlock the door, or I can just kick it. I forget if you can even try. I know with a treasure chest, you can use a blade and just try to pry the lock with that. I forget if you can do that with a door, but I usually just kick them. So I'm going to kick the door. Kick which direction? Left. And it says wham. It didn't work, but I made a loud sound. This time, as you kick the door, it crashes open. So now I'm in this room. There's a green gem. Might as well grab it. Oh, look at this thing here. Nearby monsters. There's a newt nearby. So if you look at this thing here, that little yellow colon is a newt. As you might expect, it's not a very dangerous enemy. Here's some rust-proof splint mail. Now, that matches what I have. The only reason I might want to get it is if I'm hoping it has an enchantment in it, because I don't know. It could be a +2 splint mail. I won't know that until I put it on. But here's the thing, it could be a -1 splint mail. And if it's -1, the way the randomly generated stuff works, if it has a minus, it's probably cursed. And cursed means you can't take it off. As far as armor goes, that's what it means. It can mean a different thing depending on the type of object. So I could take a gamble and just try to wear it. Maybe I'll do that for the fun of it, because I'm being a little bit reckless. Or adventurous, let's say, not reckless. I killed the newt, that was easy. It's random 3 gold pieces again. Here's a drum. I'm going to play the drum. It's not usually useful, but some of them are actually magic. Let's try playing the drum. Start playing your drum. You produce a heavy, thunderous rolling. There's a magical drum. The entire dungeon is shaking around you. Hachi turns to flee. No, come back, Hachi. I'm sorry. That is called a drum of earthquake. It's kind of funny. You usually don't find those randomly so early. But it's kind of how this game is. Everything is randomized. You can find powerful or just rare things early on if you're lucky. But come back, Hachi. All right, let's do my splint mail experiment. Now, as I mentioned, you don't want to walk around burdened, and I am now officially burdened because I'm carrying 2 heavy suits of armor, and my strength, while good, is not like stellar. It's a strength of 15. So I'm going to try this experiment. It could backfire. I'm going to take off my mail. Now my armor class is 10, and put on the new mail. Okay. So it actually has the same effect. They're both giving me armor class of 4. They're both +0. I'm just gonna drop the old one because there is this game has so many so many facets to it. And as I'm explaining it, a lot of this I take for granted because I've played the game a million times. But see this here, uncursed rustproof. That's because I started with stuff that I had 100% identified. You know everything about the stuff you start with, basically. But this modifier here, uncursed, that's kind of the default for most things. But they can be cursed or blessed, too. So this thing, I don't know if it's cursed, uncursed, or blessed. If I can take it off, I know it's not cursed. So let's try taking it off. All right, so I know it's not cursed. So it's either uncursed or better. My logic is I would rather have uncursed or potentially blessed, although it's probably just uncursed, than something that I know is uncursed. So I'm just going to drop the original armor I had. And now I'm unencumbered again. And now sometimes it might do something like this. You can name an object to annotate it, sort of. I'm kind of getting into, I guess, maybe more advanced things, but I'm just kind of following my train of thought as it goes and trying to explain what's happening in that crazy train, going off the rails in the crazy train. So I know this is not cursed, so you can do this. You don't have to do this, but I'm giving it a little label that says not cursed. And now you can see. Now that might change. It could get cursed later, but as far as I know, it's not cursed. So it's a kick that one open too. Now here's the thing: you don't have to press every move one by one in this game. Often when you're in a corridor, you just want to give it the command to go faster. So I'm going to hit the 5 key in the center of my number pad, and then I'm going to hit right. It's going to make me take several moves down the corridor like that. See that? Now, I hope my stream isn't buffering because my preview is buffering. In the YouTube console, it gives me like a little preview. Yeah, it's saying I don't have enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't know why it would not be smooth. Hopefully it fixes itself. I don't know. I'm not on Wi-Fi anymore. Anyway, there's a little goblin to the left of me. Probably a goblin. Yeah, let's just kill it. Okay. Now, in this case, Stu, hey Stu, how's it going? Stu said lots of buffer. I don't know why. Very strange. Huh. Yeah, I dropped OBS. My streaming software says it dropped about 3,000 frames. Well, that number hasn't increased since I started staring at it, so hopefully it's stable for the moment. Okay, so yeah, now that I've killed this goblin, what I can do is I can eat its corpse. And this is kind of a fundamental mechanic of playing NetHack. You kill your enemies and you eat their corpses. Not every corpse is healthy. Some of them are poisonous. Some of them convey special abilities. And this is kind of the thing that, like, you either have to have played the game a lot like I have, and or you have to look up these things in a wiki. I will be doing kind of a combo of both if I get late in the game. But I played the early game so much that I know as a fact that goblins are fair to eat. However, there's a however to this. These corpses, if they sit around for a while, they rot. And NetHack doesn't tell you that they're rotten. So if it's sitting around for a while, in other words, if you haven't observed the kill, like if you haven't killed the monster yourself, or if your dog hasn't killed it right in front of you, you don't want to risk it because you don't know how long it's been there, and your character can't tell if it's rotten. You just eat it, and you could literally die just from that. It would say you've obtained food poisoning, or say that meat was tainted, and then your only hope is pretty much to vomit or to pray to your god. And yes, there are mechanics to help yourself vomit if you want. I can't remember what it is offhand, honestly. But you can always pray to your god to cure yourself of your food poisoning. Another thing, there are various forks, or aka mods of NetHack, and some of them try to fix or improve on user-friendly wonkiness like that. So if I play the right fork of NetHack, it might say this is a rotten goblin corpse of it. It makes sense to be able to do that, but this is just one of the many ways in which NetHack is pure evil, though. It'll just be like, you want to eat this corpse? All right, you're dead. Ha! It was rotten. You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell that there were, flies buzzing around, and it was crawling with maggots, and it was smelly. Anyway, I just ate the goblin now. It tastes okay. Now, again, going into more detail than anyone cares about, having played this game for such a long time, the error message here was always that the monster corpse tastes terrible. And now sometimes it says okay. I forget if there's any logical reason behind that, or if it's just like a random message. But I was interrupted. I did not finish eating the goblin corpse because a rat here has shown up. And by the way, Stu here has seen me play this game about 100 times probably. But I'm taking the approach tonight of kind of just explaining it, everything that goes on and my entire train of thought and how things work, as if my audience is all newbies. So it's kind of slow going, but it's kind of fun talking about it. I like talking about this game. Anyway, there's a rat of some sort right here. It's probably a sewer rat because that's like the low-level default rat you tend to find. So let's take a look at it. And yes, it is a sewer rat. Hey, sorry, I don't know how to play your name. Say your name, Osvaldo Gordo. He says, yo, it's NetHack. What are you running this on? I'm running it on my Mac. And Stu is saying, honestly, my thought was he's playing this again. Well, I have given this game a long break, although it used to be a staple on my Saturday night streams. Anyway, let's kill this rat. I killed the rat, and yet there is still a rat there. That means there was another one behind it, right? That's the only explanation. It was like right here. And I can't see past it, so that's just how the game works. The monster blocks my line of sight. Let's kill that. All right, so I can eat a sewer rat corpse now. You might think a sewer rat corpse, you wouldn't want to eat that. That's false. It's just NetHack logic. You just have to know the NetHack logic. It tastes okay. Hachi finished eating my partially eaten goblin corpse. Now your dog does have to eat. If it doesn't eat, it'll die. It'll start whimpering and stuff. A milky potion, I have no idea what that does. And by the way, you can chat with your dog to get a sense of how he's doing. Well, right now he's eating noisily, but it might say he barks or he whimpers depending on how he's feeling. That could be hunger. I think it can also be if he's beat up from combat, he might, whine or whimper. But yeah, he's chowing down on that goblin corpse. Now he finished. Let's try chatting with him again to see how he's doing. He yips. Yeah, it's pretty much a puppy is doing well kind of a thing. So he's a little dog right now. He can grow up, and he will grow up to a dog and then a large dog. And with an orcish helm here, I could try on these orcish helms, but again, they could be randomly cursed or whatnot. Let's try one on for the fun of it. That was good. It was actually a +1 orcish helm, and I knew it right away because I noticed my armor class down here improved by 2. Normally, it only improves by 1 for a +0. But that's how I knew it was a +1 orcish helm. So that's good. It's also good to always have a hard helmet of some sort on your head in addition to the armor class bonus. Because the game has special logic for that. If there's a falling rock trap, for example, it hits you on the head, it'll do a lot of damage unless you have a helmet on. In which case, it would be a glancing blow. Now, as you can tell, this game is just like full of all kinds of special situations. And you don't want to look at the source code. I've done that. It's like a million if statements. Anyway, since I'm playing a little bit, recklessly or adventurously, trying everything I find, I'm going to try drinking this random milky potion. So we hit Q to quaff once again. M, you start to float in the air. You hit your head on the rock cavern. You float gently to the... All right, what happened was I drank a potion of levitation. I went, whoop, bonk. And quite possibly the helmet might have protected me there as well, but I'm not really sure. Now, typically, a potion of levitation doesn't have that effect. You just float around. You can't reach the floor. You float over water. You float over pits. So it's it can be a pro or a con. You can't go down the stairs. And I don't really see that specific message too often. So I'm going to look it up for the fun of it. And you don't have to look things up, but I'm curious about what that means. I should know. It's one of the things where I've played this game enough. I should know that by now. But, you know what? It might not have been a potion of levitation. It might have been a cursed potion of gain level or something like that. It has an ironic effect. Like, well, you're going to gain level? Okay, you're going to go up level. I don't know. I'm not going to do a thorough investigation right now. I'm just going to move on. But that was not a normal potion of levitation. That was something special that just happened. Anyway, thanks for joining me, people. We got for my humble channel, this is a relatively full house, so I appreciate you guys joining. And Osvaldo says, cool, I've just heard a bit about the game, but haven't tried it. Very cool. Yeah, this is one of my favorite games ever, NetHack. It's kind of an evil game. It has it's kind of a joke about NetHack. It has everything but the kitchen sink, but there's actually a kitchen sink you can find too, and you can turn it on and drink from it, and various effects can happen. Or you can make it accidentally summon a water elemental or something. But yeah, it just has so many things. It's also a kind of a famous phrase people say about the game is the dev team has thought of everything. In other words, if somebody says, well, you know, the cockatrice, right? That's a monster that turns you to stone. And if you kill a cockatrice, if you even touch the corpse, you will turn to stone. So you can get into the dev team has thought of everything. What if you touch it with gloves on? Well, then you're safe because you got gloves on. Then what if you hit an enemy with the cockatrice corpse? They turn to stone. But what if you're carrying so much stuff that when you go down the stairs, you fall, and as you're falling down the stairs, the cockatrice corpse smacks you in exposed skin, and you turn to stone? That can happen. It's just crazy. And the cockatrice usually comes up in examples about the crazy things, crazy interactions in this game, because it's one of the crazier things. It's like an instant death object that you have to be super careful with. I think you can't, I have to look this up to be sure, but I think you can't even step in the same space as a dead cockatrice unless you have boots on, because I guess it's assumed you have bare feet and you accidentally touch it. It's a very powerful and dangerous object, by the way, that cockatrice corpse. Anyway, let's wander around some more. I'm finding very small piles of gold here and there. By the way, I'm playing as a samurai, and so I have a katana and a wakizashi at the start of the game. I also have a bow and arrow, also known as Yumi and Ya. I should try to use those once in a while. I have a drum of earthquake, which I don't really know if it has very practical uses, but I guess it makes everybody afraid of me, including my own dog. And I have some armor and a random gem. All right, Josfaldo. So I don't know if I'm saying your name right, by the way, but Josfaldo Gordo says this reminds me of Dwarf Fortress, but NetHack is much older. That's a very cool idea of implementing a ton of possibilities in a relatively primitive game. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think Dwarf Fortress was inspired by the old school roguelikes, such as NetHack here. I haven't played that. I would love to try it sometime. I was reading about it in the I know Stu knows this book, 50 Years of Text Games by what's the author's name? Aaron something. And here's the thing. Earlier, I drank, before some of you joined, I drank a potion of object detection. So that's why I can see all these objects in the walls. And one of them is is this thing, which I know is food. I can use my cursor to see what kind of food. A tin. So I'm going to try to see if I can get that tin. I don't have a way of digging through walls, which you can do if you get a pickaxe or a wand of digging. But so I'm just trying to search a lot. I'm mashing my S key a lot to search in the hope to find some kind of a secret door, but I'm not having much luck, unfortunately. Like a secret passage or whatever. And oftentimes you see a door like this and it's probably a secret passage, but not always. And you can't mash the S key forever, so you should call it a loss at some point, which I guess I'm going to do now. Now, tins here. Tins can be really good. Tin is supposed to be like a can of food. A lot of times they're garbage, actually, but they might have like random meat in it. Like, this is a tin of orc meat. Do you want to eat it? Yeah, sure. Some of them contain spinach, though. And Stu corrected me. Aaron Reed is the author's name. Spinach, the game is silly and implements everything. So spinach makes you like Popeye. You get a permanent strength boost. So I often seek out tins just to try to get the spinach. You can even get a tinning kit and make your own tins. So you can preserve a lot of corpses that way. There are some corpses that give you benefits. Most notably the wraith. That might sound weird. Why would a wraith corpse help you? But, wraith is like an undead ghost-like creature that drains your life. You actually lose levels if the wraith harms you. But if you eat a wraith corpse, you gain a level. And again, I'm a little rusty, so I might be stating the mechanics a little incorrectly. It might be you gain experience, or a lot of it. I think you gain a whole level, though, typically. So people are often, later in the game, they're cramming all these wraith corpses down their gullets. But here's the thing. If you eat too much in NetHack, you can choke to death. So if you log on to any server that hosts NetHack, and you look at the top high scores, you're going to see a lot of people that says the cause of their death was they choked to death on a wraith wraith corpse. They were trying to cram in all those levels so much that they choked to death. It happens a lot. People don't know when to not push their luck, I guess. But this is, again, one of the things I'm not 100% certain of because I'm a little rusty, but I think you can, if you have a tinning kit, you can make a tin of wraith meat, and then it's preserved in the tin. And then when you're no longer full, it'll say satiated at the bottom if you're full in the status bar. Then you wait till you're not satiated, then you can pop open the tin of wraith meat and gain your level. It's just so crazy, this game. Let's see. Random funny Portuguese name for Osvaldo's account. Okay, cool. You see, you guys seem to be very chill too. Yeah, we just try to, have fun, be silly. And then Osvaldo also says we have adventure mode in Dwarf Fortress 2. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying that. I don't quite know the difference between the modes. I kind of commend the Dwarf Fortress devs when they made their commercial version of it. I'm just going to search around while I'm talking. They made a lot of money, I heard. It was an open source game for like a decade or maybe longer. Then they made like a polished version and sold it on Steam. And they made a lot of dough from that. That's pretty cool. Anyway, here's a jackal. I think it's a jackal. Anyway, some kind of a dog-like thing, a jackal. Jackal's kind of one of the very early dogs you find, dog-like enemies. I pretty much explored the whole level. It might not look like it, but I think I need a pickaxe to do much more. So what I'm going to do is, over on the lower left room, there's a greater than symbol. That means you go down a level. It's a staircase. But I heard noises in the distance, which again means my dog is probably fighting somebody. Oh, grid bugs. So these X's are grid bugs. By the way, a lot of these monsters in the game, you look at them, it'll tell you what it is. This is a Zan or other mythical fantastic insect, a grid bug. And now for some of these monsters, it'll have like a whole blurb about them. So you can get kind of some detailed flavor text if you care about that. So let's read about the grid bug. These electronically based creatures are not native to this universe. They appear to come from a world whose laws of motion are radically different from ours. And they actually, they often quote books and, sources of mythology and stuff like that. Here they're quoting the novel Tron, not the movie Tron, but the novel. Tron looked to his mate and pilot. I'm going to check on the beam connection, Yori. You two can keep a watch out for grid bugs. Somehow I completely forgotten that the grid bugs are from Tron, but they're a very basic and common low-level monster in this game. Tron paced forward along the slender catwalk that still seemed awfully insubstantial to Flynn, though he knew it to be amazingly sturdy. He gazed after Tron, asking himself what in the world a grid bug was, and hoping that the beam connection, to which he'd given no thought to whatsoever until this moment, was healthy and sound. Yeah, it doesn't really help as far as playing the game, but it's fun flavor text. Yeah, these guys are really weak, but he did hurt me. It says you got zaps. They zap you with electric damage, and I am down 1 hit point. You can see down here. Yeah, it's from Tron, Stu. Actually, here's a thing that you probably won't notice unless you read up on like the wiki. The thing about the grid bug is they're one of the few monsters, maybe the only monster, who can't walk diagonally, for what that's worth. Most monsters could like chase you like that if they wanted to, but these ones can only move vertically horizontally. So I'm going to pass my turn, and normally a monster would probably go like here generally, I think, but they're only going to go, it's going to go straight down, I think. No, it went to the right, actually. Okay. Then it went down. I killed the grid bug. Okay, Hachi. How are you doing, Hachi? You hungry or anything? Chat with Hachi. He yips. He's good. All right, so let's go down to my staircase. Now I'm going to do the run action. Oh, I hear noises again. The dog is always finding enemies to fight. He already killed it. It's gone, whatever it was. No trace of it. Now here's the thing. I have to wait for him to step next to me, my dog. Or if I go down the stairs, I'm going to abandon him here. Come back, Hachi. Where are you? You can actually get a leash to put on him so that you don't have this problem. But otherwise, you have to kind of like try to lure him over. So now I can go down and bring my dog with me. You descend the stairs. Next level, we're on level 2. Now, normally how I would play this by myself, I would just be, I would be on level 2 in like a minute probably. All right, here's a newt off the bat. I'm missing a lot. It's not really instilling me with confidence. I'm missing these really crappy enemies. And I have no food, so I'm going to eat every enemy I can, even if my dog gets upset that I'm eating all the corpses. The dog picked up a wand of some sort. Please drop it, dog. Okay, drop the wand. Steel wand. All right. So once again, this is unidentified. I don't know what it actually does. So I can try it at a random enemy. I mean, some of the wands have positive effects, but you probably don't want to blast one at yourself by default. Because many of them are like, magic missile or whatnot. All right, here we go. Store. Oh, here we go. Irasham. Is that Japanese? Irashaimase. Emrin, welcome to Monotobo's General Store. All right, so here's the deal with stores. You can buy stuff at them. You can try to steal stuff from them. The shopkeeper is very powerful. If I mess with him, there's no doubt in my mind I would be dead. You can try tricks. You could pick up a bunch of stuff in the store, read a scroll of teleportation, and escape with all the loot. In that case, he'll summon the cops. The Keystone cops come after you. Yes, really. The best way to rob the store, not necessarily the most efficient way, but the best way as a noob, is to get my doggy to come in here. And the shopkeeper doesn't care if the dog picks up an object and leaves with it. So I can kind of lure the dog in here. He picks up something, I leave. The dog drops something outside the store, and then I can pick it up. If he drops an object inside the store, it's still property of the store. But as soon as the object leaves, it's no longer property. So I can stroll around in here and check out objects and their prices. For some reason, it expresses the currency in terms of Zork mids, which is from the game Zork. But you find gold pieces. I only have 14, which is basically nothing. There's pretty much nothing I can afford for 14. Maybe like an egg or something. I don't know. Scroll labeled Fubi Blech. Maple Wand. Oh! Yes, some of the objects are actually mimics in stores. And it actually makes me nervous. They're not always pushovers. It's a small mimic, so it won't be too bad, hopefully. I have to see how I do, though. If I start to take serious damage, I'll probably zap the steel wand at it. Let's take this slow and carefully. I hit it. Okay. Yeah, the mimics tend not to match your speed. They're usually slower. So usually I can like hit it once or twice, and then it smacks me once. So let's hit it again. I missed it, but it hit me. Yeah, they do serious damage for a low level. I took 3 hits, so hopefully this exchange doesn't go back and forth for too much longer. I miss it. I miss it again. I hit it. Now here's the thing, you might wonder why I don't just walk away. Well, they have like a glue or something. You stick to mimics when you encounter them. So if I try to walk away, I'm just going to waste an action, actually. I miss it. I miss it. Fortunately, it's taking a long time to attack again. I miss again. I miss again. I hit it. Oh, I hit it. It hit me, and then I hit it again, but I have 4 hit points. I kind of accidentally hit the button a couple of times too fast. So essentially, I think if I take another hit, there's a good chance I am dead. So, this is when you start thinking about all your options. I could pray. My God probably doesn't hate me right now, and I haven't abused praying. So it would probably grant me, what it does is it heals you, and there's like an aura around you that makes it so that while you're healing up, the enemies don't hurt you. It's not great to have to use it this early, but whatever. I could zap the steel wand at it. There's no promise it won't, no promise that would help me in this situation because I don't know what it does. Drum of Earthquake can scare monsters. I don't know enough about the mechanics of how that works. Like, I don't know if mimics are even capable of being scared. They are stationary, I think, so they won't walk away. And a lot of times if you mess around with weird effects in the shop, the shopkeeper gets pissed off at you, and then it might as well be game over. So because basically it would be like, it might be the case that my earthquake effect would affect the shopkeeper, and he would perceive that as an attack. But I'm not 100% sure. Well, Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to do one more hit, and if I don't die right after that, and I don't kill him, I will pray to my god of choice. Well, my one god. I missed. Okay, I'm gonna pray. It sucks, but I'm gonna do it. Here we go. Now this game has so many commands that, you know, I remember I mentioned it's basically every key press is mapped to a command, as well as like control in a lot of the keys. Well, for some of them, there are extended commands that you have to type out like this: pray. There we go. I'm praying. Here we go. You begin praying to Amaterasu Omikami. You're surrounded by a shimmering light. Sounds promising. The small mimic starts to attack you, but pulls back. You finish your prayer. You feel that Amaterasu Omikami is pleased. You feel much better. Good. I think it might have even increased my max hit points to 18. Didn't I have 15? I'm going to rewind my stream just to see. I'm curious about that. Unfortunately, it's loading in such a low res I can't even read the damn numbers. I'm not going to worry about it for now. All right, so hopefully I can just smack it with my katana once or twice more and finish it. But I'm not going to pray again if I feel like, you know, if I get really damaged, it's going to be, you just can't pray too much. It's like a timer of when it's safe to pray again. Okay, I missed, he missed, I hit. As you can see, I'm not really doing a tremendous amount of damage. It kind of sucks. I killed it. Welcome to experience level 2. What a relief. Okay. Flop, flop, fizz, fizz. What a relief. I don't know. Okay. Leveling up is good too. And now I have 27 hit points, you can see down here. I'm going to check my skill list. Yeah, I don't have any options to upgrade yet, but you can see I have basic level in longsword and short sword, as well as martial arts and bow. And I can potentially actually learn spells. But the way it works is you have a limited number of skill slots. So you have to allocate them pretty carefully if you're playing seriously. Anyway, survive the mimic attack. Somehow I'm reminded of a Simpsons episode when Lisa is babysitting Rod and Todd, and she says something like, they survived the moth attack. Remember the moth was in the board game? They're like, ah, moth. So Hachi just waltzed into this store, and he's like, a tripe ration, that's dog food. So he just walked in and ate some dog food, because they can't resist eating dog food. Now, fortunately, the shopkeepers are oblivious to pets. They don't care. They don't make me pay anything. Anything else, I have to pay for it. If I break an object, I got to pay for it. If I drink a random potion, I got to pay for it. But the dog can do whatever it wants. And it just picked up a potion. Now I can try to lead it out. And I think it's working. If he doesn't go back into the store. Yeah, he dropped it right here, a sky blue potion. So I just got a free potion. I could even sell it back. And you can do this for a while. You could sit here for an hour if you wanted to, which might sound boring, and maybe it does. But it is a very valuable, maybe it could be more. But it's a very valuable technique. But the thing is, the game always has you on a timer because you have hunger. And I have no food right now. So I don't want to do this for too long. But that said, there is food, these percent signs, right in the store. Kunyoki is, as I understand it, Japanese for a food ration. So those are good. Food rations are like your standard food item that are really solid. They fill you up pretty good. So there's 2 of those I can get Hachi to steal from me. I don't have enough money to buy them, unfortunately. There's also an egg, which is basically next to nil nutrition, but if you're starving, you can eat them. Sometimes they hatch. You're just carrying around an egg, and oh, a lizard came out or whatever. All right, so let's try to get those food rations, because I consider having some sort of food supply to be critical to this game. Critical to survival in this game. Here's the thing: the shopkeeper can stand. He'll always stand like within this radius of the door, like here. Maybe it's a diagonal too. I don't remember. Something like this. So right now he happens to be on top of one of the food rations that I want my dog to steal. But I can kind of move around like that. Yeah, look, he moved. Trying to manipulate his movements. He's picking up gems right now. I don't even really care about the gems. A lot of them are worthless. All right, let's see. Sue says, wait, how come one of them says for sale and one of them doesn't? Did it say that? For the Gunyoki? They're both for sale. Everything should be for sale unless it's. Oh, there's the gem. The gem doesn't say for sale. That's true. Yeah, things that are I don't know the answer to that. Oh, let me think for a moment. I don't actually know. I think you might have to for some objects you might have to pick it up and then he tells you their price for some reason. Some of them might just be mimics. That could be the reason. Silver Saber is actually a good weapon to have because the silver does extra damage to demons, and late in the game you're just carving your way through demons. And as a samurai, what I can actually do is dual wield. And I can have a silver saber and level up its enchantment, so it's like a +5 silver saber in one hand, and I can have perhaps an artifact weapon in the other. And welcome Fang Zhang. Fang Zhang says apparently Gunyoki is not a real word, but a NetHack specific fake word. No kidding. Huh, I always assumed they had pulled it from a reason, like a real source. I just Googled it too, and I found a Reddit thread that said, "Today I learned the samurai name for food rations Gunyoki was made up by the NetHack dev." That is interesting. I never knew that. Huh. In a sense, I'm a little disappointed because it always feels like the NetHack devs do their homework. Like they try to make things, try to source things properly. They don't just make up object names out of thin air usually, but I guess in this case they did. That's pretty interesting. And Fang also said that now I don't know whether it's supposed to be Gunyoki or Gunyoki. I haven't thought about that one. All right, let's try to get some food at least. But yeah, I'll try to answer your questions too. I don't know the answer. You could Google for that. Something I should know. NetHack store. Why some objects have a price. I'm not finding an immediate answer, so. But there's a whole art or a science even to what they call what's the term they use? Store identification. Like you can look at the prices and like if you see a scroll that's in a certain price range, you can kind of narrow down its identification to, well, it might be one of these 3 scrolls. I don't want to get too into that crazy level of stuff. But I know like identify is I think it usually costs 24 or something. But the thing is the prices get adjusted by your character's charisma. So sometimes it can be hard to play that game because you might get a bonus or a penalty to the price depending on your charisma. All right, Osvaldo says it was really nice watching this stream. Yeah, thanks for joining, Osvaldo. Gordo, it was nice talking to you. I'll have to leave though because sleep and classes tomorrow. All right, good luck in your classes and good luck in sleep. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I'll see you later. I think this one had a good chance of being identify actually, and I consider identify to be an extremely important kind of scroll to get. I'm not entirely sure. Again, it's kind of like a price range. It might be like identify or light or one of a couple things, but that's one of them I'm going to try to get my doggy to steal because again, I have no freaking gold. I only have 14, and this very cheap object costs 27 right now. Okay, go steal it from me. Now you may notice I dropped it right near the entrance because that makes it easier to try to lure your dog into stealing it. I mean, nothing's guaranteed though. They move around a little bit erratically. And it looks like he just dropped a potion. Okay. Picks up a potion. Yeah, I'll steal the potion as long as he got it. Okay, Hachi dropped a white potion. Now I have a white potion. Okay, please steal this scroll for me, bro. Whatever. So those red gems are very pricey. I don't recall if the storekeepers try. I think they probably do. They try to screw you. A lot of gems in this game are worthless colored glass. Like if I pick up a random red gem and I get identified, it could very well be a worthless piece of red glass. Okay, you got another potion. Sky blue potion. Didn't I already have one of them? Yeah, I got 2 now. Now, if you're a really hardcore identifier at this game, you could be good at guessing based on sky blue being pretty common, what kind it is. I don't know. I never really got that good at these identification games people play. I really just want to get this scroll and food. Then I'll probably move on from here. Okay, red gem. Let's see if he buys back the red gem for a good price. Let's put it in the corner because I don't really care about it. I kind of want to get it out of the way. He gave me 2 gold for it. And what was he charging? Like 1 million? No, like 1,000 or something. I'm going to pick it up again. Hear a door open. There's somebody humanoid walking around if I hear a door open. Could be an orc or whatever. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I'm going hungry. Right, so I would really like that food sooner than later. I might just get into, like, try to sell stuff even to afford a food ration. Or a gunyoki, as they call it. Right. I'm going to try a little longer to get my dog to steal it. He was on top of it. Okay, get that lorem ipsum scroll. That's funny. For those who don't know, lorem ipsum is like this classic garbage text people use when they're like filling in, like they're, if you're making, say, a website, it's not limited to websites, but and you want to fill in text with garbage, you use this what's called the lorem ipsum text. Anyway, I'm going to try reading this scroll. Hopefully it's not bad. Identify. I suspected it would be identify. Right, so the question is, what do I want to identify first? You never know how many identifications you're going to get out of one scroll. I'm going to go for the steel wand first. Say wand of speed monster. So remember when I was desperate in that fight against the mimic, I was thinking about using the wand. I would have just sped it up and it would have killed me faster. Next, I can identify, let's say, the potions or the... Well, since I really want money, if I can identify any of these gems as not being worthless glass, that would help me get the food I need. Jade stone, there we go. And a worthless piece of red glass. Okay. So here, let's sell that stuff. The garbage gem he won't buy, I don't think, but I might as well toss it. The funny thing is he would give me 2 before I had it identified. But now that I have identified, gives me nothing. All right, jade stone. Yeah, I'll take it. 150. Thank you very much. Now, I'm still going to try to steal a ration with my dog if I can, until my hunger status gets down to weak. So that's when I start to get into trouble. At that point, I'm going to call it and just buy the food rations with my money. Get over here, doggy. Another good thing to do might be to get the jade stone close to the door. If I can steal that a bunch of times, it's a lot of free money. What did he just pick up? A gunyogi. Oh, let's get out the door. Come on, give me that. Did he drop it? Yay, drop the gunyoki. All right, let's eat it right away. Yummy, yummy. The food really hits the spot. You finish eating the gunyoki. Okay. Back into the store. Let's try to get another gunyoki or the jade stone again. And the funny thing is, before the world of like wikis and all the information being out there and easy to achieve about how the game works, I remember my brother and I used to come up with these theories like, wait a minute, if you lure the dog out to steal something for you and then you give him a tripe ration, maybe you're training it to steal for you and then it'll do it more often. And we like had this confirmation bias. We thought it was actually working. Like we would throw it a tripe ration, which is dog food in this game. And we were like, oh, look at that. It's stealing for us now more often. We're totally wrong. Anyway, a hobbit is near me and throwing daggers. And I'm pausing for a moment because I thought hobbits were always friendly to lawfully aligned people, but I might have that wrong. Well, clearly I have it wrong. All right, I'm going to kill the hobbit. Yay, I'm level 3. And now I can eat him. Funny thing is that, you know, it'd be like one thing if you eat like a dead goblin, because they seem so removed from being a human, but kind of seems weird eating a hobbit as a human being. But yeah, I'm going to do it. Woohoo! The hobbit corpse tastes okay. And now I am satiated. That means I'm full. It's good to be full, but at the same time, if you run around satiated for too long, now all of your stats here, these attributes like strength, dexterity, they can get exercised as you take certain actions, or they can get I forget the word they use, but they can get damaged. If you run around for too long satiated, I think it damages your dexterity specifically. So you don't want to do that. You basically don't want to be running around a dungeon with, you know, your stomach completely full of hobbit meat. So once you get into the food of this game, it just takes the bizarreness to a whole other level, I feel like. Like, you're not even cooking these things, you're just eating hobbits and goblins. And you're not like an orc or something yourself, or something beastly. I mean, you can transform. I'm just a human being right now. Anyway, yeah, let's move a couple of neat looking things over. I still haven't answered your questions, too, about why are some things not showing up as a price. Let's take a look at this potion. It doesn't say the price. What happens if I stand on it? Will it tell me the price? I think it does. And now it's telling me the price. There you go. Look at that. Now if I move the cursor over, it tells me. I think... I'm surprised I didn't even know this off the top of my head, but... I think the logic is the shopkeeper only tells you the price when you stand on the object. And then from that point on, you know it. You can use the cursor to look at that object, and it'll tell you the price. Strange object. That's a new one to me, I think. And I'm pretty sure that means it's a mimic, but... I'm tempted to put on my bow and shoot it. See what happens. The shopkeeper will take ownership of any arrows that drop to the floor, unfortunately. But let's try that. And it's kind of amazing how often I'm surprised by things in NetHack still, even after 30 plus years. But also the game does add things with each new version. And again, as I said earlier in the stream, I'm not playing the latest version that's, I guess, in beta, which is 3.7. I'm playing 3.6 something. I actually like some of the changes they made in 3.7, but that's mostly for advanced level stuff like nerfing mind flayers. Anyway, I'm going to try shooting this random thing. Oh, what was the wiki? What does the wiki agree with? Eric said, yeah, the wiki seems to agree with it. I guess it's about the mimic being in the corner. That's me in the corner, being a mimic. Okay, that's a mimic then. Yeah, that's cute. Do I even want to instigate, though? I'm trying to remember if they move. I think they do move. So they will chase me, but it'll take them a long time. But as you saw when I was slicing it up with my katana, it could take a lot of hits, and I might lose a lot of arrows in the process. Because normally you can pick up arrows. Whatever, I'm just going to do it. Let's not overthink things. I can always buy arrows back. They probably cost like 2 gold each. Yes. And what you do is you actually use the throw command, or there's 2 ways you can fire arrows. First of all, you have to have your bow wielded. Otherwise, you're literally throwing an arrow, which isn't good. But you can also set up a quiver. And if you have the quiver set up, you can press the F key to fire. Let's do that. Actually, how do you set up the quiver? It's better not be the quick key. I don't know. I'm just going to throw it. It doesn't matter. It's just like a different user interface method. Shoot 2 yaw. I can shoot 2 arrows in 1 turn, which is good. The first yaw hits a small mimic. Second yaw misses. It looks like I'm actually selling the yaw to the shopkeeper. All right, let's keep firing. Shoot 2 yaw hits. Misses. And again, I'm selling them each for 2. All right, let's keep going. I have 37 in a row. First one hits. I killed it. Yay. And Hachi had a Gunyoki, but dropped it. Oh, I missed that. The mimic corpse was eaten by Hachi. And Fang says, I think the previous mimic you encountered was a right bracket too. Yeah, they can take the form of any object, but I guess sometimes they don't take any shape. Anyway, you don't want to eat a mimic because you transform into objects. But Hachi, my dog, just did that. And I'm trying to remember if that essentially means he's dead. Oh well, we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll turn back. Stop Hachi. Oh, my poor doggy is now he now looks like a tripe ration. I mean, I guess a dog, if it works something like, you know, whatever you think of you turn into, I guess it would make sense he turns into dog food. Sorry for my strange gasping, but that is a powerful artifact weapon sitting on the floor here that somehow I just noticed. And it's not a mimic, or I wouldn't be able to stand on top of it. And it is sometimes one of the recommended weapons that a samurai tries to use, like even late in the game. I mentioned earlier, it's often good to dual wield like a silver saber with an artifact weapon of some sort, but your artifact weapon can be the silver saber. You can't wield two artifact weapons because they get jealous of each other or something. The problem is I cannot anywhere close to afford that, and my dog cannot steal it because he turned into a tripe ration. So I might have to do without for now. But again, I'm not sure if the dog can turn back or not. I feel like if you eat a mimic and turn to an object, it says you're dead. Let me look it up. I'm going to look it up in the wiki now. So if you eat it, eating a mimic's corpse, let's just share this. The browser or tin causes the hero to imitate a pile of gold for a short time, unless they have a source of unchanging. And here, when you get into the description, you can see how they're like, unless you're hallucinating or this or that, because there's so many crazy interactions in this game, as I've said a million times. Here, that does so while hallucinating will instead mimic an orange. Okay, this is considered a weaker form of polymorph. I don't really care in getting into all these nitty gritty details. I just want to know if my dog is like doomed or not. A pet that eats a mimic corpse will temporarily appear as a particular item or monster for the duration of its meal. Duration of its... So, is it only going to do that until it finishes eating? Unless the hero has protection from shape changers. Walking into the pet, searching while next to them, or applying a stethoscope to them will reveal the pet. Of note is that a pet polymorphed into an item while in a shop, yes, will be treated as belonging to that shop while using the far look command. Okay. So it sounds like it's only going to look like this object while it's eating. Does that mean it's still eating? Maybe I just wait a little while and it'll be done. All right. Well, if he ever turns back into a dog, I would like to try to steal Gray Swan Deer. That would be amazing. The thing is, though, the way the weapons work is it uses these skills, right? So I'll be pretty incompetent at saber for a while because I'm unskilled in that. So I'll be missing a lot, but I can train up by wielding it for the purpose of kind of practicing. But also it's Gray Swan Deer, so it should be cool. Now, Gray Swan Deer, I don't remember exactly how it works, but all the artifact weapons at least do extra damage, if not special effects. And you can look up in the wiki what it does. It's a lawfully aligned weapon, which is good because I'm lawful. If you have a if you pick up an artifact that's differently aligned, it does a lot of damage to you. But you can wield it and use it after that. It's just you have to get past the initial pickup damage. I think that's how it works. So a randomly generated silver saber has a 1 in 20 chance of being generated as an artifact, which has a 1.5 chance of being Gray Swan Deer. So that was pretty lucky. And otherwise will be Werbane, the other artifact silver saber. And lawful characters may receive it as a sacrifice gift. It does double damage to all targets while doubling with the doubling applied to the weapon's base dice, and end any enchantment followed by silver damage and other bonuses, and confers hallucination resistance while wielded. It's one of the most sought after artifact weapons in NetHack, both for general use and 2-weapon. Yeah, I want a 2-weapon Grace Wand here and something else. And it gets into all the crazy math here. It's from the Chronicles of Amber book series by Roger Zolanzi. I thought it was Zelazny. Is it Zolanzi? Yeah, it's Zelazny. They made a typo in the, or misspelling in the wiki, Nethack wiki. I was about to be like, have I been saying his name wrong all this time? Anyway, so what's the plan here? See if the dog comes out of it. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, he came out of it fast. All right, get me Gray Swan Deer then, bro. Wait, where is it? In the corner? I like how the shopkeeper might not notice. Like, oh, you don't have Gray Swan Deer on. Who knows? Maybe I didn't. Now, one thing you can do is, yeah, look at that. If your dog or other pet steps on an object willingly, that tells you that it's not cursed. Your dog or cat, or possibly other animals too, will not step on it generally unless they don't have any other option. And then it'll say the text, it'll say Hachi steps on the, or steps into this space or whatever unwillingly or something like that. Like reluctantly is the word they use. So I can tell it's not a cursed Gray Swan Deer, but I don't think they ever generate like cursed anyway. Look, I just got a really powerful artifact weapon. Hooray. Wow. Just level 2 of the dungeon, BS in a store. So again, I'm not skilled in it. So if I wield it, I have to do so kind of expecting that I'm not gonna be actually hitting my enemies too often, which is not a bad way to go. I'll do it for weaker enemies, but I might swap out to my katana if there's ever like a challenging enemy until I can train up in Silver Saber. Now, once again, getting into the wiki, you can actually see how good can a samurai get at these different weapon skills, because they all have their own limits, right? Each class has their own limits. So I can see that they can actually only get to basic level in Saber, which isn't great. But all the bonuses this thing conveys, especially against demons because it's silver, will be great later on. Also, just a double damage right now will be pretty good. But yeah, I'll have to actually work my way up from unskilled to basic. But I think it's a great off weapon for a samurai to use, because I'll be using 2-weapon skill eventually as well, probably. All right, so let's do it. Let's wield Gray Swan Deer. Ta-da! No, I need to practice on somebody. Let's practice on the shopkeeper. No. All right, so what do I want to do? I still want to get this food ration, or the gunyoki as they call it. And thank you, Fang, for calling that out. I always kind of assumed it was like a real Japanese term. All right, I got a new scroll called Fubi Bledge. Once I start actually making good stuff happen, like I just did by lucking into Gray Swan Deer, I get a little bit more cautious about using random scrolls and potions and things. Especially destroy armor is one thing I'm always scared about finding. But you know what? We found a pretty much identical splint mail on the previous level, I think. Yeah, so let's roll with it. I'm gonna read it. Do you wish to teleport? What that means is it's a scroll of teleportation. The fact that it gives me the choice to teleport means it is a blessed scroll of teleportation. And yes, I had that memorized. If I were in the store and read this, I could get away with loot, but he would summon the cops at me. So get away with is saying I get away with it is kind of iffy, actually. But yeah, let's teleport for the fun of it. Here we go. So I don't regret this. Okay, that was nothing. All right, I still want that gunyoki. Worthless red glass. I'm gonna let him take it out, and I'm gonna throw it somewhere just so he can't pick it up again. I'm gonna throw it in the corner of this room up here. There, get it out of the way. So I guess that visitor we had earlier, Osvaldo Gordo, must be a college student or something. He said he got class tomorrow. Usually I only have old farts in my chat. But I guess old farts can take classes too. And yes, maybe I do spend a little bit of too long hanging around these shops, but it is so worth it usually. But one technique I like to do is put things towards the door if I'm trying this doggy technique, doggy theft. So maybe I want to move a couple more things. Shiny ring, that might have a good effect. What do you pick up? Oh, the jade stone. Jay, try to bring it here, bro. Come on. Oh, grid bug. And a fungus of some sort. Okay, lichen or lichen, however you say that. I remember I had a teacher who, when I was in school, I think a science teacher told me it was, told the class it was pronounced lichen. Then I started saying that at home, probably in the context of this very game. And I think it was my brother was like, no, it's pronounced lichen. And eventually I was like hearing it 50-50, one or the other. And I was like, I don't know what to pronounce it like anymore. I'm going to call it something else entirely. How about Bob? Acid blob. Now you got to be careful of these. They're kind of weak, but you attack them and acid splashes on you. It does damage and it can permanently corrode your stuff. I don't know if silver can corrode from acid, but I don't want to risk it. So one way to do it is let your dog fight it. Sometimes the acid splash can be really nasty and actually kill your dog, though. I could shoot arrows at it. That could corrode the arrows, too, but at least it wouldn't be a better thing. I can throw random crap at it, like random dagger. Let's do that. Here, have a random orcish dagger to start. It missed. How about my other dagger? I always like having like a pile of garbage dagger just to throw when I need a distance, you know, ranged weapon in a pinch. Could even throw the longsword too, the random longsword. Here, have the random longsword. I killed it with the random longsword. How about that? Now I'm pretty sure eating the acid blob corpse just makes you take damage. It says you have a bad case of stomach acid. Well, let's look it up real quick. Back in the day when I first started playing this, I'm playing it before the web existed, so I couldn't just look stuff up in a wiki. However, there were these files called spoiler files, and you could get them on FTP sites or on BBSs. And it was essentially all the info about it, but not in this wonderful format. It was, you know, plain text. But I used to try to avoid the spoilers. I would only peek occasionally, on a rare occasion, if like I was doing really well. Maybe I was fighting, I don't know, some horrible demon or something. It was like, maybe I'll just peek and look up a weakness of it or something. But I tried to avoid it. And this, let me tell you, this game is impossible if you don't look up this stuff. I think if you didn't look up this stuff, what you would have to do is like be a scientist in real life. You'd have to like experiment. How do things work? And you would take meticulous notes of how everything works. Like, oh, what does an acid blob corpse do? Well, in this case, eating an acid blob corpse will deal it'll deal 1d15 damage unless you are acid resistant. But it has some fairly unique traits. They're vegan because they're not made of meat, I guess. They're always fit for sacrifice and do not become tainted from aging. So basically, I can pick this up and kind of carry it around as like emergency backup food if I ever get desperate. It's gonna hurt me, but I could eat it. It won't rot. It won't hurt me, and I can even sacrifice it at my god's altar if I happen to find one, because it doesn't go bad essentially. All right, so for some reason I don't think I've ever thought of that technique. To that, carry around an acid blob corpse as like a last, ditch food source. Anyway, what's going on over here? Did my dog get anything? He's still hanging around. How's he doing, actually? Is he hungry? Oh, he just dropped one of my ya. Yep, he's doing good. I'm not going to worry about my ya, I don't think. Yes, Kunyoki, gimme. Here, doggy, where are you? He might have went back in. Yeah, he went back in, probably, yeah. Doesn't always work, as you can see. Maybe I'll just pay for them. I have the money. So we can move on with the stream. Yeah, P to pay, itemized billing. Sure, I'll buy. Actually, I don't know if I want to buy the... whatever, I'll buy it. Okay, I got my Gunyoki. All right. I think I'll move on from here. Chest. I'm processing how this works. Can I loot it? Can I open it? If it's locked. Oh, Eric is out. All right. Thanks for joining, Eric. See you next time. I'm going to try to open the chest. It's locked. Yeah. I think I would need a good means of picking the lock. Otherwise, I might break objects inside if I get violent with it, and then I'll have to pay for them all. All right. So, well, I would like to steal some of these random potions and rings or whatnot. I think it's time to move on. Thank you for being a good thief for me, Hachi. All right. There's a random goblin of some sort. I will eat him. Tastes okay. I can sell this random orcish helm. Now, I don't know if this helm is better than the one I have, but typically, just my instinct based on experience says that it's something like 80% of the time it's +0. 10% of the time it's -1 in cursed. 10% is +1. I forget if you can ever get like a +2. That's maybe a 1%. So I'm basically just gonna drop it. I got my 5 gold for that. Okay, fine. Let's move on. I get drawn to the stores too much. They're like very interesting and powerful things in this game. So I want to move on for now. But this is a speaking of interesting and powerful things, this is a floating eye. It is one of the most dangerous monsters in the game. Doesn't mean I'm gonna die now. You just have to be careful. If you melee it, you run into it to attack it, it will look at you. It will gaze at you like this, and there's a chance you will be paralyzed. And the paralysis that results from the floating eye is one of the biggest sources of death in all of NetHack, because another monster can walk up to you and, you know, the paralysis, I don't know exactly how many turns it lasts, but it can be like 50 or 100, which is like instant death if there's a violent enemy trying to kill you. So what I'm going to do is back up and just shoot it with my bow, my Yumi. But again, you look at those high score lists, you want to see the common causes of death. It'll list it like this, right? It'll say killed by an orc while paralyzed by a floating eye or something like that. So it'll make sure it documents that the paralysis was caused by the floating eye. Kind of funny. Now here's the thing: if it left a corpse, which it didn't, unfortunately, that is a great thing to eat, because the floating eye corpse grants you permanent telepathy. How telepathy works in this game is whenever you are blind, and you can choose to be blind by putting on, say, a blindfold. Whenever you are blind, you can see all of the monsters, right? All the monsters with a brain on the level. Like if you remember when I had the potion of object detection, you could see like the dollar signs in the wall and everything. It'll look like that except for monsters. Or not only monsters, you know, it would include any kind of living creature, including this @ symbol over here, the shopkeeper. But they have to have a brain. So the game actually has that as like a flag. Does this kind of monster or whatever have a brain? For example, this fungus right here, which happens to be a shrieker. It's a mushroom-like thing that doesn't have a brain. So that would not count. Why am I wielding a my bow still? Let's put on Gray Swandeer and kill the shrieker. The shriekers will shriek and they act like as an alarm for other monsters to come and kill me. But I killed it before it could shriek. There's a gecko that you can barely see down to the right of me. Let's eat this random newt. Oh, the freshly killed newt was rotten. Which can happen, but don't ask me how it can happen, but it can happen. What never happens is it's never tainted. When it says that meat was tainted, that's when you're gonna die unless you intervene somehow with prayer or something else. That never happens at a fresh kill, but sometimes for some reason you'll get this message: black rotten food, everything suddenly goes dark. You become blind for a little bit, and I think you might miss a few turns, like you get paralyzed for a few turns. You feel a mild buzz. Okay, that is actually a I have to explain everything. I'm trying to present this as if I'm talking to complete newbies to this game, which I guess some of you probably are. But every little thing deserves an explanation. This is when you eat a newt, there's a chance of it conveying a resistance, and that's what that is. I believe it's confusion resistance. But I'm going to look that up because I don't remember for sure. Newt is a mild buzz. I accidentally typed new and mild buzz, and I found a subreddit about Martin guitars where somebody was talking about their new guitar having a mild buzz sound. Anyway, the buzz, yeah, that's not, oh, you gain energy. That's right. It's not gonna, you get this stuff down your POW. That's your spell energy. So that gave me a little bit of that, but I don't actually use any spells yet, and I might not ever as a samurai. But we'll see how it goes. All right, here's a random wand. Oh, I'm blind still. I got to be careful. When you're blind, you can accidentally, you'll automatically attack anything you walk into, including friendlies such as my dog. So I want to kind of just probably sit here. And if I hit the S key to search, it'll tell me there's something over here. It shows up as a capital I to indicate an invisible monster, but that's probably just my dog. And now I hit S again and I see it here, so that's probably the dog again. Here's some noises. The dog is fighting somebody. All right, you can see again. Ooh. That's another one of these fountains, huh? All right, I'm going to try. These fountains can be quite risky, and I'm kind of already at a point where I'm like, well, I got a really good thing. I shouldn't take these random risks. I'm going to do it once or twice for the fun of it. Cool. I happen to get a gain ability effect, I guess that's called. You feel agile, which means I got a permanent +1 to dexterity. So it says 15. And now you can see 16. Hooray. Yes. All right, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead with that fountain. There is, you know, it can be contaminated. You like lose a whole bunch of stats until you find a potion of restorability. Or it might just be lose strength, I forget. Here's a fox. All right, that was easy. White gem. All right, so Hachi just killed a kobold zombie. Did he fight a brown mold too? So you don't want to eat any kind of zombie corpse. How, you know, that should go without saying. But a brown mold you could eat. I just didn't see that it was a fresh kill, which concerns me. Like, I don't know if it was lying around for a while, but I'm also not sure if it matters in the case of a brown mold. I'm rereading my history to see. Yeah, I didn't see anything about a brown mold. That conveys cold resistance, which is permanent if I remember correctly. So it would be good if I added Nethack to my search, not just brown mold. But I'm gonna look. I'm thinking they probably don't rot like meat does, and it might be fine to eat it. Right, if you eat it, it's not a very high probability. It's a 3% chance of granting poison resistance or cold resistance, which is good if I can be sure it's not going to be bad in the sense of like eating tainted meat. I mean, it's not meat. I think it's safe. Mold may also generate on rotting corpses. I'm gonna risk it. Hopefully this doesn't end my game right. I'm looking for anything else that might give me a hint about it being safe to eat, even if it's old. Right, I'm gonna try it. Brown mold. Down the hatch. It tastes okay. You finish it. All right. All that ado about nothing. So it didn't give me any benefits. It did not kill me. It filled up my tummy a little bit. All right, another floating eye that we have to deal with. Put on the bow again. Wield the Yumi. Throw the Ya or fire the Ya. You shoot 2 Ya. First one hits. Second hits, you kill it. Oh, my acid blob corpse rots away. Oh, so I guess they rot away still. They have that timer. They eventually disintegrate. But they don't get into a bad state before disintegrating, basically. They don't get into a state in which you can't eat it or can't sacrifice it. So it didn't last forever. And there's no floating eye corpse once again. But there is a magic wand of some sort. Maple wand. I have a marble wand, a maple wand, and a wand of speed monster. You hear the chime of a cash register. That just means the store is on the level. All right. This is one of those secret well, passages where I'm like, there's got to be a secret door here, but I'm not really sure, and I spend a lot of time mashing my S key to search, and I don't find anything. So I'm gonna move on. Oops, I'm accidentally hitting a kobold. And I'm bashing him with my bow because I forgot to take off the Yumi. Let's put back on Gray Swan Deer. And now kill the kobold. Cool. So once I wield this Gray Swan Deer artifact enough, when I go to this skill screen, it'll show a thingy over here. It'll like a letter I can press to upgrade my saber skill. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. But it'll also give me a notification in the status section, whatever you call it, the message section. Garter snakes and newts. There's a bunch of them. And another floating eye. Interesting. Oh, it's an iguana, actually. Not a newt. Excuse me. Come here, iguanas. I'm missing this iguana a lot. That's how bad I am with my silver saber. I'll let the dog eat those corpses because I'm a little uncertain. I can eat this one, though. Hachi eats a garter snake. Alright, once again, we have a floating eye situation. Wield the Yumi. I guess I should set up my quiver. The benefit of having the quiver, it's just kind of a user interface thing. They don't have to, like, throw and remember to press D for the yaw. I just hit F to fire my quivered arrows. But I don't remember the command exactly, so let's check in the documentation here. Quiver is capital Q. Okay, I thought I hit that, but I might have done so in the special actions prompt thingy when you. So anyway, let's just try it. Yeah, it's ready. The yaw. Cool. Okay, so now I can fire at the yaw just by hitting F, which is easier. First one hits, second hits. Now the dog is kind of in the line of sight. What that means is if I actually miss the floating eye, it could hit the dog. So I need to wait for him to move to the side, which he just did. First one hits, and I killed it. All right. Once again, it did not leave a corpse. Floating eye corpses, again, they grant you permanent telepathy. So I really want a floating eye corpse. What just happened? What I'm looking at is this opened up. Iron bar. Oh, I guess I just didn't see them. Why are there iron bars there? That might be a relatively new addition where they would sometimes have iron bars. Behind it is some money or something, maybe? I'm not sure. But I have no means of getting through that right now. That I know of. All right. Well, it seems like maybe that's the level, unless there's something here. Again, it seems like there should be perhaps a secret passage, but sometimes that's a red herring, or you need to like dig. Some graffiti on the floor here. Now, whenever there's like graffiti or an inscription, sometimes it gets mangled a little bit, so it kind of changes some of the characters. And you can actually write in the floor with your finger if you want, in the dust, and it'll write a message. But every time you step on it, more and more of the message gets scrambled. This looks like it says, they say that something genie is the only good genie is a grateful genie. Ah, I've deciphered it. Now these are there's an enormous list of what they call fortune cookie messages in this game. They're like random little tips like this. Some of them are kind of, yeah, Stu deciphered it too. They said the only good genie is a grateful genie. But there's like a giant list of these fortune cookie messages that sometimes they turn up. They're like a little tip, or sometimes they're just kind of fun flavor text. And you can actually eat a fortune cookie and get one of these messages as well. Or if you find the oracle later on, I think you can pay them a very small amount and get a fortune cookie message, or a larger amount to get a better tip. Here's someone cursing shoplifters. Aha, look at this. A little extra something. So yeah, I have this screen a little bit large so it scrolls. Oh, that's fine though. Anyway, this is an altar, which is good to know about. It's aligned with me too. Hmm. So this is actually really good. It's good to sacrifice enemy corpses or monster corpses to your god. And if you do it enough, you get, favors and artifacts. Actually, the lawful characters often get the thing I lucked into finding. And you can totally like farm doing that sort of. Not really farm, but like, hang around a level that has an altar. But I'm not going to do that right now. I don't feel like it. Also, I kind of pretty much killed everything. There's going to be monsters that still generate, but there's more stuff as soon as you like enter the level. More monsters to carve up. All right. And you have to be careful though. Some kind of things you sacrifice, like humans, and your god is not happy. I mean, it's pretty obvious usually. Let's go down. I'm searching a little bit for the fun of it. My Spidey, my NetHack sense, I guess, was tingling right there. There's the downstairs. I'm using the run command to go a little faster. It doesn't mean my character goes faster. It just means it'll like accelerate the movements through a corridor or whatnot. So I don't have to keep hitting the keys. Something's going on here. When you carry too much stuff, you can't go diagonally through a crack like that. There's a gecko. I could drop stuff, or I could hit the search button like I'm doing. Could just be a whole pile of nothing. A nothing burger, as they say. Or I could go in the other way like this. And find the nothing burger from the opposite end of the nothing burger. Okay, so where's my dog? Oh, there he is. He was in the nothing burger. Here's a boulder. It says this game keeps track of actions you do and how they affect your attributes down here. You can actually exercise your strength just by pushing a boulder. And the tourist class I was talking about earlier, since they have so much food, they can afford, like time limit wise, so to speak, to just walk around pushing a boulder and trying to train up their strength. And people actually do that. Because the tourists don't actually start with any good stats, really. Maybe one or two of them are okay. So you could like do this, push it back and forth. Is that fun? Not really. All right, another floating hell. Let's see if we can get a corpse this time. Let's wield the bow once again. Hits and kills it. Oh man, Hachi ate the corpse. Damn it, Hachi. Yeah, they're gonna do that. Yeah, I think you have to like try to get your dog out of the way. You're gonna. Oh, that's me not paying attention too well. Should have seen that. Hachi was hit by the rock before. Anyway, yeah, the dog is right next to you. He's gonna corpse steal on you very often. Okay, so there's a locked chest here. I can try to open it with a blade. Sometimes daggers and stuff will break when you try to do that. I'm assuming Gray Swan Deer wouldn't break if I did that. But I don't know for sure. That would be a pretty sad end to a legendary artifact. Some jackass was trying to pick a lock with it and broke it. Let's try it. I'm gonna cry though for 5 minutes if this does break Gray Swan Deer. You force your Silver Saber named Gray Swan Deer into a crack and pry. You succeed in forcing the lock. Alright, that's a broken chest. Let's loot it. Take something out. Alright, we got 88 gold, an apple, sky blue potion, and a yellowish brown gem. Well, I've got so many sky blue potions, I might as well try drinking one. And I group them separately. Sometimes it seems to do that randomly, but I think typically it means they have a different quality to them. Usually it would be blessed versus uncursed status or cursed. So you can see we have 2 sky blue potions in slot P and 1 in K. I would bet that K is the outlier, which would probably mean cursed or blessed. So I'm going to try drinking a P for the heck of it, just to kind of identify. Also, I'm hungry. I got to take notice. That was smooth. Okay, that's a potion of oil. Interesting. So those can be used to de-rust things. If things get rusty. I don't know what else they can be used for. There's probably other uses because it's NetHack. It's one of the potions I don't usually think about much for some reason. You can dip a unicorn horn into it to give it an oily sheen, which identifies and uses up the potion but has no further effects. So many random things like that. Dipping anything into a lit potion of oil, hey, you can light them, will burn the dipped item if possible. You can light a potion of oil by applying it and snuff it out by applying it again. I guess you don't need a light, like a source of fire. I think the game doesn't really get into sources of fire ever. Like you can always light a torch without worrying about it. I guess it's assumed you can light a fire for whatever reason. Yeah, I forgot you can light these and throw it. It can be thrown as an explosive projectile, dealing 4d4 fire damage to anything caught in the explosion. If you drink it, it abuses your wisdom. That's the term I was looking for when you negatively exercise something. So remember what I was saying, if you run around satiated, your stomach's full, you can lose dexterity. That's because you abuse your dexterity. But I've abused my wisdom a little bit. And that doesn't mean I'm going to lose wisdom. That means that what it does is the game will consider every, I don't know, n turns, every, let's say 500 turns or whatever, it'll kind of go through its tally of exercising each attribute versus abusing it and possibly say, well, you gain 1 or you lose 1 point. If I quaff a lit potion, you can light the oil and then drink it. That doesn't seem very smart. That's like a flaming mo. That's to see that. I'm just saying that to see if Andy's still in the house, because he likes Simpsons references like I do. You can repair damaged iron weapons. Tipping a rusty or corroded weapon into a non-cursed potion of oil removes 1 degree of damage. Excuse me a second. Squeaky boards. This is something I never really worry about, but there's a trap that's just a squeaky board. And all it does is wakes up sleeping monsters that are nearby. I usually don't concern myself with that, but you can apparently apply a potion of oil to the squeaky board, and then it kind of just wipes out that trap entirely. So yeah, you can see, once again, a million uses for things, and I'm still learning things, or I probably knew some of that, but it kind of just fell out of my headspace because it's not, it's not like a critical item in the game or anything. Very interesting, this crazy game that is NetHack. All right, so what are we doing here? Walking around some more, I guess. A random ring. Now, some of the rings can be quite bad. Well, actually, it's the thing about rings is they make you hungrier as you wear them, whether the effect is good or bad. That's kind of like what powers the ring. It's your stomach contest, or so if you have a cursed ring, if I try this on randomly and it turns out to be cursed, that means I can't take it off. So in addition to the negative effect, which could be like -1 strength or whatever, I wouldn't be able to take it off, and therefore I would get hungrier faster. And that might actually be the worst effect if, for me personally, because I don't have a huge stockpile of food, and I think I'm actually still hungry, aren't I? Yeah, I should deal with that. So I'm gonna do that and eat my gunyoki. And now all I have is an apple, which is barely worth any nutritional value. So basically I consider myself needing, still kind of in a semi-urgent need to collect some food for my inventory. Semi-urgent might be a little overstating it, but it's something I really gotta take opportunities to seize on, getting food basically, which, hey, if you find a store that can often have food. But this looks like a jeweler's, so it only has rings and gems and amulets. This here is an amulet, the quotes. Also, we have a very obvious mimic, because this mimic was like, hey, I'm going to disguise myself as a strange object once again. and it's using the armor symbol, so that's kind of obvious. But being low on food, I probably shouldn't even try to do the dog robbery thing, because that can take a lot of turns. And there's no food in there. Just raiding the stuff. I don't want to risk starving just because I'm being greedy with the store. I think I'm gonna actually head down stairs. It's possible there's something going on here, but it's the kind of thing where I have to search a lot, and it might not be fruitful. Maybe I'll search a little bit up here. Let's see, waste a lot of turns mashing the S key, and it doesn't always pan out. Let's go down the stairs. Here's someone counting money again. Come on, Hachi. Huh. Well, I found where that connects for what it's worth. Oop, I killed a bat. Now, bats have a weird effect. If you eat their corpse, you get confused. So I'm not going to do that. And it's kind of like almost a joke. Like the way the bats move, they bounce around randomly, semi-randomly sort of. And if you're in a confused state, your movements are random. So it's like you eat the bat and you start moving like one for some reason. Anyway, here is another floating eye. And I think my dog might possibly be like here or even in this room. So this is a good opportunity for me to shoot the eye and try to eat it before the dog does. Oh, the dog's getting in. Oh, he's eating the bat corpse at least. He's going to be occupied for a few turns doing that. So let's shoot the bow at the eye. Hits and kills it. Look, there's a corpse, and the dog is not on top of that before I can get it. So here we go. You may notice that you see one yah there too. So when you fire the arrows and you hit something, some of the arrows just disappear because I guess they break. But you can recover some of them. So I can recover one of the 2 arrows I fired, I mean. And I can eat this floating eye. Yay, I got my coveted ability. You feel a strange mental acuity. Now I can demo that real quick. And again, what it means is anytime you can't see because you're blind, then you can still detect all of the brain possessing living things on the level. So I can actually intentionally do that by applying the blindfold like so. And you can see I can see the shopkeeper now, even though he's not in my line of sight. And I can see this grid bug. So that's all I can see. Also this iguana. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that you can choose to make yourself blind with the blindfold as needed. Oh, I'm bashing you with my Yumi. I gotta remember to actually switch back to my gray swan deer. Oh, look at that. You feel more confident in your weapon skills. That means I can level up my saber skill to basic, which is the highest it'll go as a samurai. But that's good. Now I can actually hit with it. And now I actually have a decision to make. Do I want to keep using Gray Swan Deer for now, or perhaps switch to the katana so I can try to level up Longsword with the hope of eventually dual wielding a really perhaps well enchanted katana in conjunction with Gray Swan Deer. So I think training wise, it would be better to move off the saber, but you know, if I, you know, get into an actual challenging fight, I have to consider which is the better weapon to put on. It's probably Gray Swan Deer. So yeah, I'm going to switch to the katana for now. Now you can do 2-weapon combat, but I can't recall the exact math behind it. But essentially what you typically want to do is advance in the 2 weapons you want to use most individually first. And then you try using them together and train up in 2-weapon. You get a huge penalty to hit when you do 2-weapon. But if you're good in the individual weapons and you train up in 2-weapon combat skill, then it's a good thing at that point, basically. But it takes a lot of training to get to that point where it's worthwhile. When I was a noob to this game and I wasn't reading wikis, I would just kind of go 2-weapon combat from the get-go with the samurai starting weapons, the katana and wakizashi, but that would suck. You were just missing all the time. So The way to do it is you trade up in each individual weapon, then you try to train up in 2 weapons. All right, so what the hell are we doing here? We're trying to go downstairs with our doggy, and we're on to level 4. There's a newt. Turned me into a newt. I will eat it. Here's a trick I'd use that I've been avoiding. It's so stupid, but I do it anyway because it's almost like a little bit of a min-max thing that I do. Is if you type the @ symbol, it will toggle auto pickup. This is gonna sound so silly when I explain it. If I see like some gold here, I will often just turn on auto pickup and then step on it so I automatically pick up the gold. And why do I do that? Because you don't use a turn with auto pickup. If I step onto the space with the gold and then I hit comma to pick it up, I waste a turn. So this is a way to really squeeze out efficiency in your turn usage. I mean, it's such a minor thing considering how many turns you take in this game. You know, I don't have the counter on the screen. You can turn that on, but I've probably already taken like several thousand. It might say somewhere here, I don't know. 2,172. Anyway, that's just something I do. But yeah, you'll come back every time a turn passes, you know, you lose a little bit of your nutritional value in your stomach. And when you're pressed for food, individual turns can matter. It does seem like the game should probably not convey that benefit with auto pickup. It should use a turn, but it doesn't. Unless they changed it since I last picked up that little trick. Anyway, I'm actually wasting a lot of turns now just searching for doors out of this room, and I found one just now. Considering all the other hosts of inefficiencies in my play, though, it's kind of funny that I care. Here's a scroll labeled Nord. And auto pickup on again. All right. I mean, that's something I could just randomly read, but again, I'm always scared of certain scrolls, especially destroy armor. But again, I do have that splint mail on level 1 I can run up to and grab. Let's try it. I'm actually going to wait for the dog to be 1 space away because there is a scroll of fire. And that would burn the dog next to me if it happens to be that. So I'd rather just burn myself only. You feel confused. All right. Now for some of the scrolls and other objects, after you use it, you get the message and the effect, but it prompts you to name it. In some cases, it kind of makes sense because it might not be clear what it is. And if you don't have all the spoilers in front of you, you might just write, a guess at what it is. But I don't know. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. It's confusion. I don't know. And look, here it is, confusion. The weird thing about the state of being confused is there's like a whole other level to so many things in this game. All the scrolls have an alternate effect if you read it while confused. So you have like, I don't know, scroll of enchant weapon. It enchants your weapon. It gets a plus. But if you read it while confused, there's an alternate effect. And it's kind of crazy. They wrote special code for, just for the state of being confused for every single scroll. Sometimes there's a weird combo of things you can cook up. Like, I don't know. Here's a basic table of all this confused. Oh, yeah, and also it combines with the blessed and cursed. So basically, a scroll can do, it can have its cursed effect, its uncursed effect, its blessed effect, and then another 3 each for those things while confused. Pretty crazy game, isn't it? I'm looking at Scroll of Amnesia, forgets less map, forgets more spells, less. If you read a scroll of confused monster while confused, if it's uncursed, it confuses you. Scroll of create monster will create random monsters, but there's a special thing if you're confused. It always creates 13 plus acid blobs specifically. Why acid blobs? I don't know. What a crazy game, isn't it? All right. So anyway, potion of confusion. So let's keep on exploring. Now here's something I remember. There is a way, I'm trying to remember the command, to annotate what's on a level. And I thought of that just because I keep saying I'm okay with risking my splint mail because I know there's one lying on the ground on level 1. So what I can actually do is annotate, like write a little note that I know on level 1 there's a splint mail. I just try to remember what that keystroke is though, or that command. Here's the thing you can do too that it's relatively new that I'm just not used to using it, but it could be cool if you, apparently it's the underscore. And then you just pick a point on the map and it walks you there, the shortest path. You don't have to like make so many key presses. Anyway, I'm not seeing the obvious thing about how to annotate the levels. Oh, here goes more stuff. Oh, overview. Yeah, it displays the visited levels and annotations. But I don't know how you make the annotation. Yeah, so it tells you the important things by default, like it's a fountain on level 1, general store, an altar, and a fountain on level 2, a jeweler's on level 3. I'm here on level. But yeah, if I can remember the key press, I can write a note that on level 1 there's a thing. I feel like it was something like dash or I don't know. Let's move on. Auto pick up on to save myself that one turn. Oh, I'm still confused. I gotta be careful. I don't want to accidentally move into the dog, which would attack it. Okay, I'm less confused now. Now it's kind of a garbage little corner. Oh, grid bug party. Let's carve through them with grace. Well, actually, I want to use my katana now, right? Yeah, I think I'm going to wield my katana. It means Japanese sword. It's a Samurai Cop reference. Does anyone know that movie? It's one of the worst movies of all time. It's one of those things that's fun to watch because it's so bad. But the main character, he like boasts about being trained as a samurai in Japan or something. So it's also a buddy cop movie. It almost seems like inspired by Lethal Weapon. You got your long-haired white guy cop and the black partner. And so they're dealing with a gang called the Katana Gang in LA. I think they're in LA. And so the black guy asks the samurai cop, our hero, he goes, "Hey, what does katana mean?" You know, because you know Japanese and stuff. And he goes, "It means Japanese sword." It's just so hilarious how he says it like that. It means Japanese sword. Now, if you go into go down the rabbit hole of samurai cop fandom, people will repeat that joke. They'll be like, I can't think of a good example of it. Here's a yuzu, by the way. Here's a go. I could make up an example of this template of joke right now, actually. Imagine someone asked me, "What does yuzu mean?" And I say, "It means Japanese fruit." Like rather than saying it's a thing from Japan that's like this, I think it means Japanese fruit. Anyway, terrible movie. I do recommend it if you like terrible movies, though. Closed for inventory. So this is a store that is closed for inventory, and you can try to go in there. I'm trying to remember if it's ever a good idea if you can't fight the shopkeeper, though. It might, I'd have to look up in the wiki. It might be the case that there's like a percent chance that there's nobody in there and you can just loot the free stuff if you pick the lock or kick down the door. But I definitely know there is a non-small chance. might be 100% chance that the shopkeeper is in there and will kick your ass. I'll give it a quick look up. So here's the shop page. Closed shops. The door will be locked. Breaking it down will anger the owner unless you immediately pay 400 Zorkmits. That's right. You can, he'll kill you, but if you pay him the money to repair the door, he's fine. Oh, but if you open the door with an unlocking tool, wand of opening or knock spell, you can enter and shop as usual. Interesting. So I guess he's always there. But as long as you don't kick down the door and not pay for the repair, you can just kind of pick the lock and shop as usual. But I don't have any means of lock picking. Again, I'm not sure if you can use a weapon to pick a door lock. I feel like you can't, even though you can do it for a chest. Yeah, for a chest, you're not actually picking the lock. You're putting it says you're putting the blade in the crack of the chest and prying. Anyway. Alright, this looks like a kind of a crap level. Could be something along the top or bottom of this room, but this is one of those layouts where I feel like I'd be mashing S a lot. The search button a lot. And wasting a lot of turns. This is a quadruped. The Q stands for quadruped. Specifically, it is a, however you say that, a wraith or a wraith, which is something Dungeons and Dragons invented. It's like a dungeon cow. I don't know why. Gary Gygax, or one of those early D&D people, decided dungeons need to have livestock. Livestock of humans in Faerun's northern areas and of the drow of the Underdark below. Yeah, they're dungeon cows. They're pronounced Rothe or Rothe. But they just kind of wander around randomly here in Nethack. All right, I'll carve it up and eat the beef. They're usually not any trouble. It's good to get some food in me, though. All right, you may have noticed there are two greater than symbols, two downstairs. That means we have a branch. One branch is the main dungeon, the Dungeon of Dune, and the other would probably be the Gnomish Mine. It's like a whole other branch of the dungeon. The Gnomish Mine has like a different kind of cavern-like layout. There's a lot of gnomes and dwarves in there, a lot of gems you can acquire. And you can go to the bottom of that. I think you fight the Gnome King at the bottom. Here's a hobgoblin. Look at it. Random throwaway monster, and you get like a whole novel about them. Hobgoblin, used by the Puritans and in later times for wicked goblin spirits. As in Bunyan's hobgoblin nor foul friend, but its more correct use is for the friendly spirits of the brownie type. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, a fairy says to Shakespeare's Puck, "Those that hobgoblin call you, and sweet Puck, you do their work, and they shall have good luck. Are you not he?" And obviously Puck would not wish to be called a hobgoblin, if that was an ill-omened word. Hobgoblins are on the whole good-humored and ready to be helpful, they are, but fond of practical joking, and like most other fairies, rather nasty people to annoy. I'm not going to get into all this. But it's kind of funny, you look at these historical things about hobgoblins, and it seems to mean like a tricky spirit or something from the Dictionary of Fairies. But then you get into the D&D world, and they're just kind of like an especially brutish goblin, which is like an orc-like creature. I don't know, just kill it. There we go. I don't want that crap. Okay, where the hell is my dog? Doggy. There's a blob. Remember I was saying you could eat them if you're desperate. I might actually have to do that. I do have a yuzu, though. I'm going to shoot it to death and carry it for emergency food once again. Although, as we saw before, it can still rot. didn't leave a corpse. That bastard. So I'm currently down to 28 ya in my quiver. If you remember, I started, I think, 41. And also this one got put into a separate slot for reasons unclear to me. I wonder if it somehow got cursed when I or maybe it got corroded. I don't think that would be a hidden property of it if it was corroded though. But I did shoot it at the mimic in the store, and I picked it up and then it became its own separate slot for some reason. All right, where the hell's the dog? Here, doggy, doggy. There's always a chance it fell down like a pit or something. There he is. He's just being a jerk. How you doing, dog? Let me chat to him. Hey, yep, he's fine. He's eating a lot of hobgoblins or whatnot. Speaking of which, he wields a scimitar. Bring it on, hobgoblin. Oh, no, I'm using my Yumi by accident. I gotta remember not to do that. I think you can set up an alternate weapon. Let me try to see if I can do it after this fight. You can have a weapon in hand and you can have an alternate weapon. You press X to exchange them. So now I have my katana as the alternate. Now, can I wield the bow? I think it might be two-handed, so maybe this won't work. No, it'll work. Yeah, now what I can do is I can press X to exchange my alternate with my main. That makes it easier. So right now I'm going to hit X to switch to the katana. Yeah, there we go. That's a good way to do it. All right. You always got to get these little UI quirks nailed down. All right, so we're in the gnomish mines, I think. Oh, we're in the dark, which sucks. Hello, Mr. Dwarf. I believe they'll be friendly with me by default because I'm lawful. Yeah, it's peaceful dwarf. These mines can be a little rough sometimes. Here we go. Crap, I might be dead right now. I just fell into a sleep trap and a gnome is stabbing me. Hopefully my dog saves me. Get him, dog. Yeah. Oh, dog got him. Sometimes this happens too. The combat's only awake. It did do it for a gnome who's not very strong. It did a decent amount of damage to me. Look at that. Dagger here. Let's grab one. I like grabbing random daggers. Yeah, I would feel better if I had some light source and there's a lot of traps in this area. Another one right next to me, a trap door. Jeez, should I just go back up? I don't know if I feel confident in gnomish mines right now. I mean, it's not really that terrible. I mean, you have to keep yourself on your toes a little bit. And it would be good to have a light source. I think not all of the gnomish mines levels are dark for some reason. Stu says they're called vertically challenged. What, the gnomes? Yeah. Did you ever play that game? There was an RTS game in I think the late 90s called Majesty, was it? And you can have these gnomes as part of your army. Whenever it kind of follows the lead of Warcraft and such, where StarCraft, where the units are always talking to you. They say, "What's your command?" or whatnot. But the gnomes, they make this annoying whine when they die. They go, "But I'm just a gnome." And my brother used to play that game. I never really played it much. We would hang out in the same room doing our thing, and I'd have to hear these gnomes whining about their death. It was kind of hilarious, but at the same time, it could get annoying. These gnomes mourning their own death repeatedly. But I'm just a gnome. Anyway, I am burdened, which is bad. That means I want to drop stuff. I mean, I probably don't need to carry a longsword around. An extra longsword. Orcish daggers are kind of crap. I got a few real daggers. Oh, the dwarves are vertically challenged. Yeah, good point, yeah. Cool, I dropped the longsword. I'm good now. Now, here's the thing. You could actually exercise your strength by walking around. It said burdened here. I think there's a certain level of burdened. It might be the next one after that, which I think's stressed or strained. And you do exercise your strength positively, if I recall correctly. I have to look it up to be sure. If you do that, but you don't want to do that. It is not the right way to try to beef up your strength, because it's such a hindrance. You lose turns. You lose a lot of turns It's like a it's like a divisor sort of. If you're burdened, you lose I think half your turns or something like that. If you're the next level, you lose like 75% of them. Or what, I don't know the math, but the idea is it sucks. You don't want to do it. It's like one of the kind of expert tips at this game is never walk around burdened. It's very easy to fall into the pack rat trap, which I'm prone to doing myself, where you go, well, I'm carrying all this stuff. It could be useful. I'll just deal with being burdened. It's like, no, you don't want to go there. And, right now I am carrying just random crap I find, but as soon as I saw it was burdened, I was like, yeah, I gotta ditch stuff that's kind of heavy. Now this dwarf is fighting my... He's peaceful to me, but he's fighting my dog, which isn't great. Any of these humanoid types, they'll like wield... I found they like wield a weapon, and for some reason it seems to kill your pets more often than any other random monster would. So hopefully they stop doing that. But if he does kill the dog, the dwarf, the dog does kill the dwarf, I can take a pickaxe from him, which is nice. Scroll labeled Andova Begarin. I could once again just read it randomly and hope it's not destroy armor, and if it is, go back up and get that splint mail. Let's try it. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Enchant weapon. Your katana glows blue for a moment. That's good. Now it's a +1 katana. So now, one thing I like to do is, enchants are really critical to beefing up your character. You get a lot of them, you stack them. If you get holy water, you dip the scroll into that holy water, it becomes blessed. And now it'll do, I think it's a randomly between 2 or 3 improvements. I have to look it up to be sure. In one blessing, so that's really good. Blessings have a limit, however. It's kind of like, once I get that high, I'll have to look it up. But it's like, I think as soon as you get to +5, each subsequent enchantment, like it's supposed to be like the magic is so strong it starts to threaten the physical fabric of the item you're enchanting. So I think it's each enchantment above 5 has like an ever increasing percent of just destroying the weapon or armor entirely. Here's a blindfold and a yellow light that's about to blind me, because that's what they do. You know what? I am actually wielding I have a light source now. I picked up a random, I think a gnome's lit candle, and I forgot that it's lighting the way for me right now, actually. But it is getting short. Anyway, the yellow light blinded me, but because of my telekinesis, I can see these guys in the darkness somewhere. But the light does me no good while I'm blinded. I guess I might as well turn it off. Although it's going to burn out soon anyway. But I snuff out the candle. Find a falling rock trap. And because I'm blind, yeah, I hit the search button to see everything around me. I'm like feeling around. I can get all the spaces immediately around me. If I don't do that, I don't know what's immediately around me. So I'm moving and searching. Now you may notice a little bit of the screen scrolling though. Nethack levels are designed to fit on one screen. So that's kind of just an artifact of I made my font too big or something, or my window not physically big enough so the scroll bars are in effect just a tiny bit when I get to like one edge or the other of the screen. What time are we at? 11:30. All right, I'm gonna play a little longer. I appreciate the audience tonight. I don't always have a huge audience. 5 for me is going pretty strong. And I had 7 at one point. But yeah, NetHack's always one of my favorites. One of my standards. And, you could definitely argue there's better roguelikes now, especially with regard to user experience and user friendliness. Or not being overly complicated. Or being better balanced. But I just come back to NetHack time again because I feel like I'm exploring some weird madman's universe. Like all these little details are fleshed out, and it's just so much fun to play. Anyway, you find a rock piercer corpse and just kill the rock piercer. They're safe to eat. But I'm just a gnome. A sling? Do I want to get into sling? No, I don't, because you have to carry heavy rocks as ammunition for slinging. And I have my Yumi, It'd be good to find more arrows later, but I'll deal. I'm still blind. It sucks. There's a gnome lord, I believe, over here. So it's like a leveled up gnome, pretty much. I thank the 5 people for hanging out with me, and then they realized, you know what? Why am I still here? And now there's only 3 people. You know, I shouldn't be here. It's 11:30. He said. That's probably what it is. I'm like, it's late. You're like, oh shit! I'm watching this jackass play NetHack, but it's late. I gotta go to bed. Oh, Gnome Lord hurls a dark potion. The jar crashes on your head and breaks into shards. The dark potion evaporates. You feel rather tired. Okay, so was that a sleep potion? Anyway, I guess it was automatically identified. I can look at my identifications. It does seem semi-arbitrary which magic items it prompts you to like provide a name for. I wasn't even entirely sure that was a potion of sleep, but I think it was. Well, let's see. You can look at your identifications by hitting. There we go. \. So here's everything that I know what it is as a fact, and a lot of these I just because I'm a warrior type. You just start out knowing the real name for things. Like if I'm a wizard and I find this, it'll say a throwing spear. But for me, as kind of a warrior-like type, it says javelin. Does it really matter in that particular instance? No, it doesn't really. But it's kind of a nice little touch. It's like if you're experienced in weaponry, you get the proper names. Otherwise, it just says something like a curved sword instead of a scimitar. In this case, a long samurai sword as opposed to a tsurugi. You get all these other things too. The polearms have a lot of polearms have French names. Bec de Corvan, Pochard. There's one of these polearms. Here we go. Here's the one that NetHack describes. If you don't know the identification, if you don't know it's a partisan, calls it a vulgar polearm. I always wondered why it was called a vulgar polearm. So what does that mean? Let's see if I can figure that. I feel like I knew it at some point. Right, it's because it's one of the weaker polearms. It doesn't mean it's shaped like a phallus, therefore it's vulgar. It's one of the weaker polearms, so that's why they call it a vulgar polearm for some reason. All right. Anyway, what I want to look at, yeah, some real good stuff here. The potion that put me to sleep. Yeah, there we go. Dark potion is a potion of sleeping. Okay. Should I try another random potion for kicks? Let's do it. We have a few that are unidentified. Let's drink this random white potion. Oh, it was confusion. So now I know a potion of confusion and a scroll of confusion. Stu says that's extremely vulgar, Mark. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so vulgar. No, but I remember thinking that when I was younger. Like, what does it mean here? It's vulgar. Does it mean it looks like some... Is it maybe like shaped like this? It's a vulgar polar. Is it shaped like a phallus? But no, it doesn't mean that. Still in a pit. Nobody wants to hear about my pole, says Stu. Yeah, that's probably true. My vulgar pole. So yeah, without the light source, this is going to be kind of a tedious exploration. So maybe we should move back up to the main dungeon of doom until I find a lantern or something. I'll finish exploring this level though, just for the kicks of it. This one kind of want to make sure my dog follows me. If I kind of go around through twisting passages too much, I can easily lose him, and he won't follow me very well. Where is he? Doggy. Hachi. There is actually an item you can get. I want to make sure I don't have it. I don't. It's a whistle, and it can summon your dog. Well, there's actually the regular whistle and the magic whistle. The regular whistle, they'll tend to come to you, like kind of towards you, but they don't necessarily perfectly do so, sort of. But if you have a magic whistle, they just teleport right to you. Hachi means 8, doesn't it? I don't know, actually. Get back here, Dick. I mean, Hachi. Hachi means Dick now because I'm mad at him for not following me. I'll have to ask Rob Bob. I can just Google it. Rob Bob studies Japanese. He would probably know if it's just a number. I'm assuming with 2 years of Japanese studies, he would know your basic numbers by now. Oh, I was hitting my keys too fast, which is kind of a. It's kind of interesting. It's like a fundamental sin of NetHack playing. And a lot of newbies go, I was just going along, and the next thing I know, the monster hit me 30 times and I'm dead. How can I avoid that? And they say, well, remember, this is not a real-time arcade game. You're supposed to think about every turn, essentially. That's the thing, though, is you have to make so many moves. You make thousands or tens of thousands of moves throughout your game, so it's easy to just keep hitting the button a lot. Then something hits you. But yeah, basically, I was a little reckless, and a bunch of arrows hit me from something. Here it is, the Gnome Lord. And you can see they are doing a pretty significant amount of damage. I could probably take him out, but it's good to keep an eye on those hit points. Oof. All right. Killed it. Good. There's some arrows. All right, I'll take the arrows, although I prefer the proper ya. Which makes me wonder, is it actually a different object in the game that has maybe different stats to it, or what? I like random daggers. I don't need a bow. The iron shoe, I'm getting encumbered, but the iron shoes can provide 2 armor class if they're not like, cursed or something. Let's try wearing that and see what happens to my armor class down here. It's 2. Yeah, now I'm down to 0. That's good. I'm going to keep them if I can avoid the encumbrance. The cloak, a regular dwarvish cloak doesn't do anything except cover your armor, which means if something would, for example, an acid blob splashing on you and corroding armor, the dwarvish cloak would protect from that. Or it's another layer of enchantments if you have like everything maxed out. But let's see if I can drop enough stuff to not be encumbered. Maybe I'll just drop that cloak because it's not great. Okay, I'm still burdened. You can see at the bottom. So let's drop, I don't know, orcish dagger. Yeah, still burdened. Daggers do way more than you would think. And I dropped an orcish one because they're like lower quality than regular ones. But I'm getting to the point of where I'm like, well, I don't know what I actually want to drop. I could drink some random potions again. They're pretty heavy actually. I drank a random potion. It was a level up potion. Probably not the optimal time to use that. It's best to use that when you've just gained a level organically, and the higher levels are harder to climb. So, so whatever. That's how it is. I just guessed. So I guessed at what potion I was drinking. Anyway, I gained a level and I'm no longer encumbered. So that's not really the worst outcome, right? But that's a great potion, though. Potion of gain level, because it just saves you so much work. So that's annoying. I can't really squeeze through there unless I drop a bunch of crap. Or if I get a pickaxe, which actually all these dwarves are carrying. And I actually think that... Oh. Let me finish my thought before I engage this guardian Naga hatchling. I think around here my dog was actually fighting a dwarf. Remember I was complaining about that? Or worried about that? So there might be a random pickaxe over there. But let's kill this guardian Naga hatchling. Are they good to eat? I don't remember. Could you imagine playing this game with 0 knowledge and trying to like keep a record of everything, like keeping track of what things are good to eat and what are not? Its corpse is poisonous to eat, but eating a Naga corpse or chin has a 4/5 chance of conveying poison resistance. So I'll get poisoned, but I have basically an 80% chance of being immune to poison. I'm trying to think, have I gotten that before already? I don't think I have. I'm trying to remember how poison works. Here we go, poison. One of the most annoying hazards of early game. So that what it'll do, a poison corpse will cause 1 to 15 hit points of damage and 1 to 4 strength loss. Oh yeah, that sucks. You lose strength. Now you can restore the strength by getting a potion of restore ability, but I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to do that intentionally without being ready with the potion of restorability. So I will not do that. I'm going to leave that alone. Maybe Hachi will eat it. So what happened to the dwarf over here? Did he, I don't see any remain. It might be, actually the dwarfish cloak and the iron shoes. Those are things that the dwarves always carry. So I think I killed a gnome lord who had those. So he probably picked them up from the dead dwarf. That's what I'm thinking happened. But that leaves the question of where is the pickaxe? I thought they always carry pickaxes, the dwarves, but it's possible I'm wrong. Could just be a pretty common thing they carry. All right, I'm going to head back up to the main dungeon as soon as I can get Hachi over here. He is. Get over here, Hachi. Oh, mashing S2. I'm pressing search to just pass time. There we go. All right, so we're back in the main dungeon. I am hungry with just 2 fruits to my name, which is, again, not great. And, you know, this is a thing that it's kind of a thing you have to nail down. You have this constant pressure about having to eat. Eventually, you might actually get a decent stockpile. Then, like, you get like 5 food rations, and you don't have to worry about it for a long time. But right now, I'm not in a great place with that. And it would be sucky if I have to waste a prayer to save myself from starving. All right, let's just eat something. I'll eat the apple. Delicious. Must be a Macintosh. Look at this, a store. It looks like an armor store. Irashaimase. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. And Rin, welcome to Iskenderun's used armor dealership with also a weapon, a nunchaku. And a strange object. This is weird because I don't remember mimics ever showing up as just a nondescript strange object. I wonder if that's a new thing. Or am I in some weird situation? Or is it like, so like samurai detect mimics as strange objects or something? I don't think they do. Anyway, just some interesting options here, some interesting opportunities. So there's the kind of the main body armor and stuff, like banded mail and stuff. But there's going to be some funky gloves and things that often have a magical effect. Combat boots could be something like, you know, boots of stealth or whatever. It is worth exploring for sure. Although, again, I have the issue of not having a stockpile of food, and that is kind of a time constraint. Also, I'm going to probably end the stream soon, which is a time constraint, but I can always finish later. Piece of cloth, that is very likely something crazy, something magical, based on my experience. Okay, so how to play this? I could move those funkier looking things like the boots and the piece of cloth. Was there any gloves close to the door for my dog to steal? Maybe I'll just do a little bit of that since I'm potentially... No, I'm not going to mess with it. You know why? Because that apple, although it has me out of hungry state, I'm like on the edge. There's like a whole, you know, there's a gradation here. It's not like a black or white thing. I'm basically on the edge right now because apple doesn't fill you much. I'm on the edge of being hungry. And then all I have to eat after that is another fruit, which is not very filling, just like the apple. So essentially, I don't have that anywhere close to under control now. And it is urgent now. I'm going to call it urgent. It's not critical right now, but it's fairly urgent to get some food. There we go, hungry already. Now I could look out and drink from the fountain, and it's fruit juice. That actually happens. And it's also a oh yeah, it's also one of the drinking effects will fill you up a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of fountains can be quite risky. I'll drink once. I don't know. Bad breath and it dries up. What does that mean again? I think that means it curses shit. Shouldn't have done it. Let me look it up. Oh no, that means monsters on the level flee from you for a while. Okay, that's actually a good effect. but it doesn't help me as far as my hunger issue goes. All right, I might as well eat the other fruit, the yuzu. This is a yummy yuzu, so I'm good for now, technically. I'm searching, wasting precious turns here. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I'm not great. If I have to waste a prayer just to not starve, that sucks. Large box. Sometimes these have food. Let's switch to Gray Swan Deer because I'm pretty sure that won't break as I pry open the chest. What's inside? Tugunyoki! That is good. It's very good. Those will fill you up real good. Okay. All right, nice. Now I'm burdened, unfortunately, but let's figure this out. First of all, I'm going to put on my katana again. Yeah, this is where I have to worry about encumbrance nonsense. There should be a setting that tells you the weight of all the objects in your inventory. I'll put on the hit point bar for fun. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, now this is like a health meter now, which makes it easier to visually see your hit points. But what was I looking for? The weight thingy. I'm not sure if that was just a separate fork of the game. It might not be an option in vanilla NetHack, in other words. Yeah, I don't see anything about weight, unfortunately. All right, screw it. So yeah, now my immediate task is to figure out what the hell I'm dropping. I mean, I might just ditch the wakizashi. As much as I hate to ditch it because it feels like it's part of my samurai class, and also it's blessed. It's not really doing me any good, and I don't really plan on using it ever. So let's ditch the wakizashi. Okay, I'm still burdened. Let's drink a random potion. I got 2 random potions I could drink. Black potion and fizzy. Oh, I'm invisible now. Alright, I'm unencumbered. I'll pick up this weapon now that I'm... Oh, okay. I thought the potion... Alright, it's fine. I do need to drop that. Alright, so I'm invisible. Now, if I go to the store, it'll say invisible customers are not welcome. Farewell, my wakizashi. You read, you want to regain strength. 2 levels ahead is a... I mean, I don't think this really means anything. I think it's a random note. You want to regain strength. 2 levels ahead is a... I don't know what that could be. Not a fountain. That would be interesting, though, if that's a new feature I'm not aware of, where some of these random tips would give you hints about locations of things. You're no longer invisible. Found a secret passage here. Mordor Orc. He read a scroll of teleportation to escape from me. These things tend to travel in packs. The orcs travel in packs. I'm a little nervous. I think I'll be fine, actually. Probably carve them up. But they can get a little dangerous sometimes. Once again, I'm going to force chest open with Gray Swan Deer. Succeed in that. Okay, scroll labeled Pratyavaya. Scroll labeled Prirutsini and White Gem. Once again, I'm encumbered. I gotta really get my strength up. It's such a important thing to do especially if you're a warrior type. But I should also try to do the what's her name, Marie Kondo kind of thing. Only keep the stuff that brings me joy. I mean, I could probably get by without potions of oil. One thing that's good to do if I can remember how to annotate the levels, you can make stockpiles, and you just write down you annotate for this screen where you have these stockpiles and what's in them even. So that way, I when I do that, I feel less bad about dropping stuff because I always know where I can find them again later. Stacks of daggers can weigh more than one would think, and maybe since I have the bow and arrow, or the Yumi and the Ya as my main missile weapon. I could probably ditch daggers. I do like to have a small handful of them though, just as a backup. I could just read the scrolls and yeah, let's do that. Let's read the scrolls. Cool. Enchant armor. Your splint mail named not cursed glows silver for a moment, and I'm no longer encumbered. It's a +1 splint mail, and my AC, our armor class, is officially in the negatives. Remember, once again, the lower it is, the better. It feels good to reach the negatives. It's like you hit the it's like, I don't know, it's kind of imaginary, but it's kind of like I hit a a threshold of awesome, just barely having awesome armor. Anyway, I probably don't need an extra blindfold. I'm gonna drop that. Okay. Hachi likes that blindfold. Oh, cool. I just gained Constitution. You must have been leading a healthy lifestyle. Yep, eating random dungeon monsters' corpses. That'll make you tough. It'll grow hair on your chest. Bubbly potion. I think I have one already. No, I don't have a fizzy potion, and now a bubbly potion. And a brown potion. All right, now I'm slow again, so we shall quaff random potions. Bottoms up for a fizzy potion. Cool. It was a potion of gain ability. It gave me wisdom as a kind of a random stat to choose. That was actually not the best one for me as a samurai. I'm not really using my brain stats. Would have been great if it had strength. If it was for strength, I would have had less encumbrance worries. But it's good to have that identified. Now you can see, yeah, gain ability. And that's a great one if you can get it blessed, because it gives you one in every ability, every stat. Strength, dexterity, constitution, etc. All right. So what's the immediate plan? I could spend a little time with Hachi robbing the store now that I have 2 Gunyoki in my possession. I'm gonna switch to the katana again, because once again I want to train up in katana hill orc. I will eat him because I need to stay full of orcs in my belly. Get some gold. Random ring is fun. I'll leave the orcish helm. Oh, you know you can do on an altar. Maybe I should run up there. That's 3 levels up. With the levels mapped up, you can run up there pretty quickly. If you drop any object on an altar, it'll tell you its blessed, cursed, uncursed status. And that's great for if you want to try on random rings. Because if they're uncursed or blessed, you know they're not going to be stuck on your finger if you put them on there, by draining your stomach and also having probably a bad effect. So you can just drop them on there, and then that'll help you try out, give you the confidence that you'll be able to actually take off the ring if you try it on. So that can help you identify. All right, let's for now though, I think I'm gonna rob the store with a teleportation trap. That's fun. I'm gonna rob the store with the dog helping me. Let's check this door actually. Uh-oh, giant ant. Okay, giant ants often appear in swarms as well. They're not too bad though. I kind of have a intuitive. Oop, I pressed the S key by accident. Let me do this fight before I draw on my screen. I was gonna draw the letter A and say every time I see A, I like freak out a little bit, because they usually travel in swarms and they can be pretty dangerous. Some of them have poison stingers. A just means like an insect. Giant ant is kind of the weakest of those though. But if you see like a yellow A, it means like a killer bee or something. The blue A, or I think soldier ant, they can be a pain. And on top of that, the O's often travel in a pack, the orcs. So it's basically what I'm getting is there could quite possibly off screen be a swarm of orcs and ants, but at least they're not the toughest of those types. All right, let's kill the hill orc. He escaped upstairs. Yeah, some of the smarter opponents will run up and down stairs to escape you. All right, I killed that ant. Looks like that might be the only ant around, actually. Searched and found that secret passage. There's got to be another one here. What I hate is when my intuition is so wrong sometimes. It's got to be something else here. Let me mash search, and then nothing comes up. It sucks. Sometimes these corridors you have to dig through. What's that? Probably said this before, with a pickaxe. Then you find like some little treasure trove or something. Okay, here's another hill orc. Turns to flee. Orcish dagger. Alright, come on, where's the dog? Hachi's fighting other dogs. Coyote this time. Ah, look at this. Search. Here we go. Here's something. Here's something that's a whole bunch of nothing. Someone cursing shoplifters. Yeah, they're going to be cursing me in a minute. What happened here? Somebody threw an orcish dagger at me. I'm going to wait around the corner so I can melee him directly. There we go. He turns to flee. Sorry, Charlie. You're dead. I don't want the orcish helm. Maybe I'll just sell some crap at the store that's right here. Actually, if it's an armor store, they might only buy armor. Let me see if they buy weapons too. Drop. Let's sell the... Oh, I want to... Yeah, orcish daggers. You can... Yeah, they'll give me a little bit of money. All right. Orcish helm. Here, have this. Okay, I got a tiny bit of money, basically. Your mother wears combat boots. I never understood that insult. Like, why is it bad to say your mother wears combat boots? Was that to imply she's not ladylike or something? Possibly that she's a lesbian? Oh, a mimic. I ran into a mimic. I should be able to handle it just fine this time. Killed it. Now the one on the top right is another obvious mimic. Piece of cloth. That's going to be some kind of magical cloak. Getting hungry already. Well, I guess I didn't eat any food rations yet. I just ate that Japanese fruit. And then I was satisfied with my risk level by carrying the 2 gunyoki. Okay, give me that piece of cloth, bro. Cursing shoplifter. He's cursing me. I'm the only customer, so who else could it be? Okay, I got the piece of cloth. And now, as I mentioned, I would like to get that at least the cursed, blessed, uncursed status checked out at the altar. This has been a interesting stream for a number of views. I mean, got 50 views. That means a lot of people were just poking their heads in and leaving. Anyway, so how do I want to play this? I guess I'm going to steal a few more things and then run to the altar that I keep talking about. But I would like to, again, once again, not be encumbered if possible. Let's drink another potion. Let's do it. Brown potion. Oh, tastes like liquid fire. You pass out. That's a potion of booze, they call it. Your movements are now unencumbered. You awake with a headache. All right. Let's eat my gunyogi because I'm hungry. And that'll cure my hangover, maybe. Now, the hangover is not really a thing. But I am confused. So I need that to wear off before I move around. Or I'll kill my dog, probably. Yeah, you feel less confused. So, yeah. Got the pair of combat boots. Nunchaku, a giant mimic. Shit. Okay, at least I did not trigger it. The dog did. Giant means it's going to be a lot tougher than the small mimic I fought before. And they do move, you can see. I'm kind of trying to lure it out of the store, though, before I shoot it, because I don't want all my arrows to be sold. Kind of like by default. So, come on, mimic. Killed the newt. Oh, we're at midnight. Oh, I gotta wrap this up soon. Huh. Where are you, mimic? Did he turn into an object form again? I think he did. Which one is he, though? There he is. I pressed search and it found him. Let's kill this bat. Potion of gain ability. Ah! Stu asks, why don't the shopkeepers kill the mimics? I'll tell you why. If you die by the mimic in the store, it says something like, insert shopkeeper name happily claims all your possessions. So it's like a trap in the store. They're trying to kill you and get all your stuff. He planted them there, in other words. At least it seems that way. Unless they just kind of wander in on their own, and the shopkeeper's like, "Yeah, you can take up residence here." Anyway, what am I doing? I want to get a couple more things still. Come on, doggo. Okay, it did not say he stepped on it reluctantly, so that does suggest combat boots are not cursed. Picked up nunchucks. I don't know. Just get them out of the way. I don't really want them. They're not really good. And even though I am Japanese, I don't think I can use nunchucks necessarily. It might fall under, like, I don't know, flail skill or something. Okay. Come on, doggy. Be a good robber for me, doggy. I don't know. Maybe I'll move on. I'll give it one more shot here. Wait, where? There's one thing here I want. Was there one here too? I think. Move, shopkeeper. Could be there's something cursed in this space. He doesn't seem to want to step on it. Because there's a pile, it could be any one of them. So let me get the stuff I don't actually want into a different location. Drop. The hell do I want to drop? Wasn't there an orchid shell? Oh, yeah, there we go. Q, and there was one other thing, wasn't there? Oh, I picked up the wrong thing. Okay. So we'll put orcish daggers here. Snow boots here. Alright, steal me those snow boots. I picked up and dropped a pair of riding boots. I think the riding boots are never magical. But it looks like he still doesn't want to step on that space here, so I think the snow boots are cursed. Okay, let's just throw this thing out. Now, you may wonder what just happened there. This space I'm in right now, for some reason, is considered external to the store. So when the dog dropped the dagger there, it counted as not in the store. So I just picked it up and threw it south just to get it out of the way. He picked up the pair of riding boots. All right. There's a nunchaku there. And we'll drop the nunchaku. A pair of riding boots. Well, I'm slow, but maybe I'll just move on and get my cursed stuff identified now. Do I want to become unencumbered before I do that? I'm kind of thinking I could just deal with it for the short term. And if any of these are garbage, just drop them, and that solves the problem right there. I do have a random potion I could still try. Let's do that. Bubbly potion. Drink it. Acid. I'm getting all the good potions here, aren't I? Guess what that one is? The potion of acid. So that just damaged me a little bit, and I think it kind of abused my wisdom, possibly. Alright, here's a random orc. Hachi was really hungry. He ate that orky right up. Takes a lot of turns to do it. Come on. There we go. What's in the space? Orcish helm, yeah. You know, maybe I'll pick that up just if I'm about to check cursed status of things anyway. Could be good. I'll just deal with the burden for the very short term. We have to go up one more level. All right, in the very lower right, there is the altar that I'm looking for. All right, so now I can do, now here's a handy little feature in this menu. I can hit items of unknown blessed curse status. It'll just drop them all. Let's do that. Or it filters by that. Now I can just Hit comma to select all. Space for next page, comma. Here we go. 5 daggers lay on the altar. Now, if it says an uneventful message like this, that means it's just an ordinary, uncursed object. If it says there's an amber flash, that means blessed, and a black flash means cursed. So, the Gray Swan Deer is uncursed. Arrows are uncursed. You cannot drop something you're wearing. You also take that off. Piece of cloth, that seems to be uncursed. The riding boots are uncursed. The Orcish helm that I wanted to check for the heck of it is cursed. Look at that. Black flesh. Cannot drop something you're wearing. Gunyoki, scroll, oil, gain ability. Potion of oil is cursed, whatever that means. I mean, that has some kind of negative effect. I'd have to look it up. The rings are good to know. Wooden ring. These are all uncursed, the rings. Okay. Let's pick it all up. Except I don't really want the Orcish helm, do I? Let me throw that away or something. Okay, I'm unencumbered now that I dropped that cursed helm that I don't want anyway. So yeah, there's a couple things I'm wearing that it couldn't tell me if it's cursed. So let's actually take off my armor here, and I can remove that silly name, not cursed, once I know what it really is. And this Orcish helm would be good to know. For some reason, for some weapons, if it's uncursed, it doesn't actually say the word uncursed. I never understood that. What about the cursed oil? I can see what that actually does. Let me see what it does. Stu was asking that. What about the cursed oil? It could actually be useful. Sometimes it's like just a weird modification to the effect. Dipping anything with a cursed potion of oil may cause the oil to spill and make your fingers slippery. Maybe I will toss that, because that can suck. When your fingers are slippery, here's some of the stuff that happens. You will drop items you're wielding, and non-cursed rings may slip from your fingers. Yeah, you'll just be like hitting an enemy and you drop your sword and things like that. And you can clean it by applying a non-cursed towel. You wipe your hands on your towel, basically. So yeah, I mean, you could probably argue there's a way I could salvage that. I don't know if I care enough, though. You know what? Unless I'm encumbered, I will keep it. Because I could turn it into water, actually. And water is good for making into holy water, which you can then dip your weapon and stuff into to make blessed. Or what I like to do is I try to get as many scrolls of enchantment that I can, enchant armor and enchant weapon, and I dip those in the holy water. And then all the enchantments for each scroll use are multiplied. So that can be a great way to do it. Cursed, well, first it would be unholy water. No, actually, if I dilute it, if I use a fountain. Actually, I'm not sure. It might be cursed. I was gonna say if I dilute it in the fountain, it's basically dumping. I think it loses the curse stats. But I'm not actually sure. It might not be. But what you can do is you get a whole bunch of if you put potions of water on the altar. Now this might be true with any object, but I usually do with potions of water. You put a stack of potions of water on an altar, and then you pray. I think I'll have to look this up to make sure I have it right. But then it'll turn them blessed. So it's good to you just accumulate a whole bunch of water just by diluting garbage in a fountain. You get a stack of them, and each prayer will work on the whole stack. So that's why it's good to do it all in a large batch. You get maybe 8 of them, right? 9, 10, whatever. 10 potions of water. Pray once. They all become blessed. And now you have a huge amount of holy water. Okay, so where was I though? I wanted to identify the curse stats of these guys. This one too, because why not? Alright, so take off. I think there can always be a little bit of danger when you do little tricks like this. You could have no armor on, then a dangerous monster comes and attacks you. Then it's like, holy crap, I wish I had my armor on. It's kind of rare for that to happen, but it could. All right, now we're going to drop these 3 pieces of armor. Oh, look at that. The splint mail is actually blessed. That's cool. So remember before, early on in the game, I made the right call. I'm self-congratulating. I said basically, I have these 2 splint mails. They're both rust proof. One of them I know is uncursed. One of them I know is either uncursed or blessed because I tested that. So it's better to go with the one that's uncursed or blessed, and it turned out to be blessed. I can remove that silly name too if I remember how to do it, because I know the status. I basically want to remove the name not cursed. Can I? How do I do that? Name, a particular object in the inventory. Split mail. I just enter and I'll wipe it. Maybe no, I can't. How do I unname it? Oh, here's the annotation thing I was worried about or looking for. So what I can do is, you can only do it on the current level. What do I want to write? I don't remember anymore. Oh well, them's the breaks, I guess. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, that's great if you want to keep a stash. That's a good way to, just dropping stuff and coming back to it later if necessary. That's a good way to break your, for me anyway, it's like a psychological thing. My pack rat tendency, it's like, oh, this stuff could be useful. You just dump it, write a note, and now you can just get it if you need to later. All right, so what the hell am I doing? Sue says, I missed it. I was busy trying to repair a microvision. What is a microvision? Sounds like an old ancient computer that wasn't commercially successful or something. Maybe that's exactly what it is. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how to cancel the. It was the first handheld console system. Really? That's interesting. I'll have to check that out sometime. Anyway, yeah, how do I wipe out the name? I don't know. I guess I can't. It's probably a magical character. Now it's named Dash. It's a very dashing suit of armor. When you say console, you mean like something with interchangeable cartridges, not like, not like a, for example, a Tiger LCD kind of thing. All right, let's try the piece of cloth. It's a cloak of protection. That's good. I'm just going to keep nodding my head like this for a minute because I like that. So the cloak of protection gives you, I believe, 3 armor class off the bat. And there's something else in this game. It's like an internal stat called something like MC, I think, magic cancellation. And a cloak of magic resistance does the best at that, I believe. But a cloak of protection, I think, does a little bit of that. So let's see. Yeah, so it gives you 3 armor class, which is great in and of itself. Oh, it gives you MC3 too. I think that's the best magic cancellation, isn't it? Maybe it's not. Yeah, it's a maximum of 3. Wow. So, what's the point of the cloak of magic resistance? Is it just inferior? That only gives you Oh, right. Magic cancellation and magic resistance are different things. Right. Okay. So it's kind of complicated, but they're like different. The magic resistance cloak gives you magic resistance, which is probably overall more powerful, but it has this other separate thing. I don't remember the details of it. I don't feel like reading up on right now, which is magic cancellation. It gives you a little bit of that. Whereas the cloak of protection doesn't give you any magic resistance, but it gives you a lot of magic cancellation, but also 3 armor class, which is very cool. And Stu says his microvision is Milton Bradley from, he thinks, 1979 and very primitive. That could be fun to play with though, or show off on a stream or something. All right, I still got to show off a couple of my handhelds. I have a armor battle from Mattel Electronics, and I have a Defender. And if I could ever find old stuff, I could add those to my collection too, or more like if my dad can find them. But those are the things that I have currently. A pair of riding boots. I think that's never magic, but I'll try it on. That just gives you one armor class. The iron shoes are better. Okay, so I'm actually going to dump the riding boots just because I'm right in a situation where encumbrance is a concern. I'm kind of on that border of it. All right, Stu said I'm going to bed in a sec. Have a good night, Mark. All right, Stu, thanks for hanging out and chatting and watching. It's a pleasure as always, and I really should go to bed if I know what's good for me. I sound like a mob boss threatening myself. If you know what's good for you, you should go to bed. But all right, see you, Stu. Take care, bro. With that, maybe I should bow out as well. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a good place to kill it, maybe. Or maybe I should go, I don't know. Thinking maybe I should just go to the level I was at, then call it there. Maybe it doesn't matter much. All right, I would love to continue this game. Yeah, sometimes you just, you know, I don't know, something about NetHack, you feel like you're accomplishing stuff. You get these enchantments, you luck into finding an artifact. This feels like a character I want to persist with, even though in reality I'm not that far into the game or doing that amazing. But, you know, getting these key pieces of weapon and armor are really good. Cloak of Protection is a great find, for sure. Gray Swan's Ear is obviously a great find. Why am I carrying around these stupid... Oh, no, never mind. These could be valuable. I was thinking that they're glass, but I don't know if they're glass yet. But I could try on these... You know, for the heck of it, let's try on some rings, because I can take them off right away. Now, some of them might not have an immediately noticeable effect, because some of them just kind of, you know, do something like... It's kind of an internal to the game stat might get altered, like, you know... It could be something like intermittently you fumble. It's like I think there's a fumbling ring, or it might be gloves. But anyway, that would be something intermittent that would not be obvious. But anyway, I'm gonna try on some rings, and I'm gonna take a look at my stats because that could be important if we see them change. So we have 15, 16, 18, and then all 10s. Oh, my AC just changed. Look at that. It gave me one armor class. That sounds like a no-brainer to keep on, but as I said, wearing a ring drains your, you know, stomach. So just to get one AC, I don't want to accelerate my hunger when I'm already a bit tight with food. So I'm going to remove that ring. Let's check another one, though. That's something, you know, it's good to have. Okay, I put on the bronze ring. I didn't notice anything immediately. So I'll just take it off again. And lastly, the wire ring. Again, no immediately noticeable effect. All right, so I'm going to name those objects as such, just as a tip to myself. So let's name this no... What's the right way to write this? No effect. I don't know. Particular object, capital M, no effect. Ring of bedroom prowess. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's getting close to 12:30. It's a work night. I would love to keep playing that hack until 3 a.m. and I pass out. That's gonna kill me tomorrow though. So thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, so it was actually a great stream viewership wise for me. Definitely got a ton of people poking their head in and leaving, but also had a decent amount of concurrent viewers. So I guess that's a trick, playing NetHack more. Now, sometimes I wonder if it's my thumbnails, because sometimes if I don't have time to really prepare a stream, I just use my default, which is simply the fake in television screen that says something like Mark W and Rob Bob present. And anyway, I don't know. That's all for now. So maybe I'll do a stream on Saturday. I'll try to Do something with Rob Bob probably. By the way, your title changes as you level up in the game. And as I reached level 6, I became a ninja, which it's kind of weird because a samurai is not really a ninja. You can't say I leveled up and became a ninja. It's kind of not compatible with samuraihood, in my opinion. But whatever, it's fine. All right, so that was the Great Nethack from 1987. Now, a little tidbit: a lot of people wonder why it has the word "net" in the name. Like, why? It sounds like internet or network. It doesn't have network play per se, but it was simply because the way the game was developed by the developers is they did it on the internet. They took, I believe, the code from Hack, which was, it's basically this game, but like 1% is complex. Still a pretty good game though. And they made like a super advanced version of it, but it was a project worked on from remote, people coordinating over the internet. I think they were literally sending copies of updated source code over email, which seems very primitive for any modern software developer today. But we didn't have cloud services, we didn't have GitHub, or they didn't have GitHub. So it was kind of an impressive feat, even. It wasn't a normal thing. So they called it NetHack. Like, hey, this is something developed over the net from people in different countries and stuff. And that's really cool. So that's kind of what they wanted to advertise in the name. So yeah. Anyway, that's all. So thanks again, everyone, and I'll maybe see you. Maybe I'll try to do this again next week in the midweek, like Tuesday or Wednesday. Saturday it will probably be something else with my son, Mr. Rob. But that's all for now. So yeah, see you next time. Take care.